Welcome to the Saturday session of Basic Skills in Microsoft 365 for digital learners. This is our Saturday sessions where you will be where we will meet for the next 3 Saturdays to help you get your Microsoft 365 skills up to scratch. So we're going to start by welcome for today. We're going to start welcome in introduction, the getting started and how to access your course material. So what I'm going to do now, and then we will have a session, a variety of other sessions for today. What I'm going to start with right now is I'm going to talk to you about the idea of something called developing a personal learning environment. And if you'll just give me a moment. So I'm here to talk to you about the idea of personal learning environments and why it is important that you as a student, but also as a person, create one for yourself. I hope that by the end of this presentation, you realize the value of creating a personal learning environment, and that you will go about doing this. And this step in training in Microsoft 365 and the available tools for you is really an important first step for you to realize it. I want to start that there's different types of learning and learning environments. You and your studies at UNISA is one type of learning where you've come to UNISA for a very specific reason, and that is to obtain a formal degree. This formal degree is set by the university. It's registered with bodies that does it, but you have very limited chance to set your own learning path. You may have some choices in terms of modules depending on your degree, but the learning has a specific goal and it has a specific end. But we all have other needs and interests, both personally and professionally, that we want to learn more about. And that is where creating a personal learning environment comes in. So personal learning environments are based on the idea of lifelong and continuous learning necessitated by shorter life cycles of technologies and procedures. And it is based on individuals taking responsibility for their own learning processes to maintain their employability and to feed their own interests and personal growth. The idea of a personal learning environment recognizes that learning is continuing and seeks to provide tools to support that learning. It also recognizes the role of the individual in organizing their own learning. Moreover, the need for a PLE is based on the idea that learning will take place in different contexts and situations and will not be provided by a single learning provider like UNISA. Linked to this is an increasing recognition of the importance of informal learning. So PLEs, personal learning environments, are self-directed learning spaces which contains tools to gather, organize, and create knowledge that specializes in an individual's goals and needs. So PLE includes personal learning network and personal web tools. A personal learning network is the people and organizations that you can draw on for learning and connections. A PLN is when you have a group within your professional network that has a unifying factor such as common interest, project, or goal. Social media and networking help create these connections and furthers the spread of information. Web tools are any tools available, most often Web 2 tools, that you can use to support your lifelong learning. So a PLE is a very personal expression of what you need and what you are interested in. So it's all the tools, services, communities, and places that you can draw on to learn from. Some of these include physical locations such as museums and the library, communication tools such as WhatsApp and email, traditional media, for example. There's a whole range of places where you can learn. technologies such as Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Learn that we're introducing to you in these 3 Saturdays. You create your own PLE through identifying what your needs, interests, and abilities are, and then you set out to create and curate your PLE. Creating your own PLE is very important in that so that you can create your own learning experiences. Getting a degree is one part of your learning, but it cannot be enough. Students must avail themselves to other learning opportunities. This gives you, as the student, more responsibility and more independence. Because you take responsibility for this. It is something that is according to your needs and interests, based on where you would like to go for a career, for example. It's identifying what you might still need that the university isn't provided, both in terms of your interests, but also in terms of skills. So how do you create a PLE? You decide on your interests, determine the tools to use in your PLE, take time each week to learn beyond your classwork. While you are a student, make sure to create a PLE where you can access tools and experiences beyond what we as your lecturers can give you. Empower yourself and keep on learning. So this explains why you should be building on your own learning experiences, and why we think it's really important that you think about your learning, and why you are here, because you've already taken that first step in building your personal learning experiences. So I'd like to just raise a few things for students to be aware of during the day. When we're asking questions and you'd like to share, you can use the thumbs up to indicate yes. Maybe we ask, do you know how to create a file? If you give us a thumbs up, that means yes. If you give us a no, if you don't know something, you can give us a shocked emoji face for no. This is so that we know where we need to pitch things, where we need to organize things. You will see at the top, there's a chat window with a speech bubble. Use that chat window to ask questions and comments. You'll see next to the chat window, there's a little raise hand. If you have a question, raise your hand and we will get to you when we can. And once you finish asking your question, lower your hand by clicking on that button again. Then there's a little video icon that is used to switch on the camera. We have it disconnected so that it doesn't get interrupted. Our session doesn't get interrupted. And you can unmute yourself when we give you the chance. Again, we've muted the mics so that no one interrupts us. There are some ground rules for today. Post your questions in the chat. We will assist your fellow students in the chat. Sometimes you might know the answer. We will be there to assist as well. But please, if you know something, try and help each other out. That's also part of creating your personal learning environment. Be respectful of other people's opinions. Be respectful of time. And please concentrate, focus when we are in session, go on breaks when you need to. So I'd like to introduce the team for today. As you can see, we have a sign language interpreter, Sophie Mabaso. Thank you very much, Sophie, for being here. And then I'd like to introduce Richard and David. If they could switch on their cameras, they will be leading you through most of the training today. Richard?
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you on this Saturday morning. I hope we're going to have a lot of fun today and learn a lot of new tips and tricks to really improve your digital lives. Thank you, Ingrid.
Thanks, Richard. And David, if you'd like to say a few words.
Yes, hi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a Saturday, but at least it's a nice day. You can relax and work through all the things that we're going to show you. Hope you're going to have fun. And yeah, let's have a good day. Thanks, colleagues.
And just so that you can put a face to the voice, I'm Ingrid, and I'm going to hand over to Richard now to get us started on our training journey today. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Ingrid. Let me just quickly share my screen with you. Yeah, good morning again, everyone. I hope you have a good connection and all of that. I'm just going to ask David to just put in the poll for us, just to see with what devices are you connecting today. So this will give us a good idea, when we do our demos as well, so that we can mention perhaps some tips and tricks if you're using a mobile device or if you're using a laptop or a desktop device. So please, just on the polls, just select the device that you are connecting with so we can just see what device you are actually using this morning. So while you're doing that, I'm just going to start with just a little bit of background. So this content was created in collaboration with Microsoft and Gajima. So the program started on the 27th of February. So we do have sessions that run through the week. And they run from the Monday to the Friday, and it's full day sessions from 8:30 to 1 o'clock. So this is the online session that we will be hosting on Saturday. So it will be for the next 3 Saturdays that we will be conducting these workshops. Now, we are going to do, you can probably think, okay, that's a week and now it's a free Saturday. So we are going to go a little bit faster through the material, but we will still cover everything. If you want to have perhaps a experience where it's covered more slowly, more in depth, where you can sit the whole day and ask questions to the facilitators, you can join the weekly sessions online as well. We'll show you on the portal where you can find the join links if you want to join during the week as well. Now, we've created a little roadmap, to really take you from the basics to a little bit more advanced features of Microsoft 365. So we really want to cover the basics, make sure that you've got a good foundation to build upon. But we are then really going to delve into the apps, the productivity apps, how you can use it in your studies, what you can use different apps for, to really give you comfortable in using these apps. Now, a big thing about these apps, they won't only help you with your studies, but also it's something that you can actually put on your CV as well. Most businesses are going to cloud computing. These devices are going to be more important, these types of apps. So I just want to mute here.
Please.
Okay. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so we also got a lot of questions. What type of certification will you get from this? As we go through the activities, you will complete a lot of them on Microsoft Learn. It's actually based on Microsoft Learn courses. So you will be earning the badges upon completing the activities. Also, if you complete all the activities, you will get a certificate of attendance from Microsoft to indicate that you have attended all the sessions and that you have completed all the activities. So yes, so let's get started and just look at what we will be covering over the next 3 weeks. So today we're really going to start with, digital literacy, just working with computers, access information online, just to set the groundwork on what we're going to be building upon. Then we're going to dive right into to Office 365, introduce you to the portal, what apps are available, what you can use for your studies, just to give you an overview of how to access the portal, what is available. Then we're going to start off with OneDrive, give you an introduction to OneDrive, do activity on OneDrive, to show you how to share files, how it works. Then we're going to introduce you to OneNote, your real binder. You can keep on all your information for your studies. And then also a quick activity on Flip, just to introduce you, what is groups, how do you join groups, and also how to record videos within groups. Now, next week, we're going to start again with just covering the foundations, digital citizenship, But then we're going to dive right into the productivity tools that you might be using. So we will be covering Outlook that you will be using to communicate with your academics and other students or even other staff if you're in working already. And then really delve into Word Online and PowerPoint Online, how you can use these tools to create assignments, documents, and presentations. On the last day, we will dive into Edge, Microsoft Edge, the Windows browser, and see what tools are available there. Not just the normal search functionality, but really the tools for translation, automatic reading, things that you can put in text, for instance, and get the translation for it. Really delve into what are the tools that you can use in Edge to help you improve your understanding of material and also finding new material. Then we're going to deep dive into Teams. So you might be already now familiar with Teams as we're all joined here on Teams. But Teams is quite big in terms of group work sharing. So there's a lot of aspects to Teams to cover. And we're really going to show you how to create groups, how to collaboratively work in a group, how to set up a meeting, working with a meeting, setting up the options. And this is especially important when you get after your third year, when you start working in groups, when you perhaps go for your masters. Most of that group work occurs in teams, and this will give you a good foundation to when you get to that stage that you're comfortable with the tools to use them. Then we will have a look at Sway. It's almost like an online presentation tool, but it's a lot more. It's almost like a website builder, you can say, where you can create your own portfolio, CV, or even a general presentation on a topic that you can easily share and everybody can access it. Then we'll also have a look at some of the accessibility tools, the immersive reader, how you can use these tools to make it a lot easier to go through any material that you might be reading or have to summarize. Now, for this session to work, you need to have your MyLife account already activated. Now, can I just get an indication, perhaps with hands up, who of you have not claimed your MyUnisa login yet? Okay, so I will be posting in the chat. I think let's just quickly have a look. MyUnisa was down this morning. Let's see if it is running. Nah, it's still down. So in the chat, I'm going to post a link for you to where you can claim how to go through all the steps on how to claim your UNISA password. So when MyUnisa is up and running again, just go into the watch this video and just follow the steps to claim your MyUnisa password. Because once you claim your MyUnisa password, then you will actually get your MyLife email account. Now the steps are very easy. You just go to myunisa.ac.za. You click on this claim UNISA login and you work through the steps. After you claim your UNISA login, it can take up to 24 hours for you to get your MyLife email account. So please have a look at that video if you have not done this yet, so that you can access or continue with us and also do all the activities. Now, for those of you perhaps that are currently not registered, not UNISA students, you will need to visit office.com and create a free account. So you can just click on sign in and you just follow the steps to create the account. You do not need to buy anything. You can just work with a free account. But if you're a UNISA student and you've got your MyLife UNISA account, you can simply visit office.com, click on sign in, and then type in your MyLife email address. So that will be your student number at mylife.unisa.ac.za, followed by your MyUnisa password. So you realize this is why it's so important that you have your MyUnisa password already, because without it, your MyLife account will not be created and you will not be able to access it yet. Now, this step is very important. I'm going to put the link in the chat. So this is where all the information for this workshop will be all the content will be hosted. So it's very important that you do have access to this site. So I'll put the link in the chat. So please click on that link that is in the chat, or you can type in from this page as well, or scan the QR code with your mobile phone. I see you guys are very quiet in the chat. Remember to ask any questions in the chat. So I see there is somebody asking how to submit an assignment. So actually starting this week, we will be hosting a My Modules workshop. But let me share you the link as well. There is a guide as well for this. If you want to know how to submit assignments, but please have a look at this week. We are starting with the My Modules workshops that will specifically focus on My Modules and how to submit assignments. Okay, so I take it everybody has clicked on the link. If you have not, just raise your hand if you have not clicked on the link yet. Okay, it seems like we're good to go. Oh, there's 1, 2. Okay, so I'm just going to give you some time. I'm just going to repost that link. Let me just pop this one. The link. So please click on that link if you want to access the resources. So once you click on this link, it will open up this page over here. You'll notice this is the SS4IRR04 basic skills in Microsoft 365 for digital learners. I'm just going to also pin this one to the top. So the link should be in the chat, and or you can use that URL that we shared. So it's very important that you get onto this page. This is where we're going to be running all of the content from. So if you don't have access to this, you won't be able to do the activities as well. So you'll notice when you get to this page, we've got quite a few sections. So first is the prerequisites. That's what we are going through now. How to get started. And then there's the recording section. So there is previous days recordings available on here as well. And you'll notice it's divided up into day 1 to 5, all the activities that we will be doing. So we will direct you, for instance, when we do the activity on OneDrive, we will show you exactly how to get to that activity, and because all the steps are on here as well. So you can work through this material. The recordings will be made available of the session as well after the session, so you can easily access the recordings afterwards if you perhaps get interrupted with load shedding or anything like that, and you can complete these activities at your own pace. So that's why I really want to emphasize there is a few ways that you can actually follow along in this course. So you can either first just sit through, watch us do the activities, explain everything, and then afterwards you come and do the activities yourself. Or you can actually, if you don't need any assistance right at the hand, you can always come afterwards, watch the recordings, and then do the activities. Or you can follow along as we do the activities. You can actually, if you've got the setup correctly, you can actually do the activities as we go through, and we can help you with any areas that you do get stuck with. So we will be working through day 1 to 5 in these 3 Saturdays. And then the last one is the workshop evaluation that we will do at the end of the session. Now, just to show you quickly, if you're on this page, to log in, at the top right, there's a login button. So you need to click on that login button. Now, if you are a UNISA student, you will select yes. If you're not a UNISA student, you will select no. If you are a UNISA student, this is the button that will appear. So you have to click on use my UNISA email account. You'll have to type in your MyLife email account. So that's your student number at mylife.unisa.ac.za. Then you will select next. Once you hit next, you have to then insert your password. So it will be your MyUnisa password that you claimed. And then you will notice at the top, you are logged in. So just remember, if you're a UNISA student, you select yes. You select use my UNISA email account. You type in your MyLife email address. Type in your password for my UNISA. And then you will be noticed at the top, your initials will show that you are logged in. So let's quickly have a look just to make sure that you do know how to do this. So if you go on this page at the top right, let's go here. Just want to put this one here. So you will click here, log in. On this page, it appears. If you're a UNISA student, you will select yes, and you select this option. If you're not a UNISA student, you select no, then you will have to create a new account. So you will then use this box over here to log in with the account that you created. So just remember, if you're not a UNISA student, you will have to create a new account and then use the credentials over there. But if you're a UNISA student, you just select yes, use MyLife UNISA email account. It will pop up where you then have to put in your student number and your at mylife.unisa.ac.za. So just your MyLife email address. You then need to insert your MyUnisa password, and then you select sign in. So you can, if you're using your own device, you can select yes, so you don't always get this message. But else, if you're using it, for instance, a PC in a lab or a library, then usually you will select no, so your credentials aren't stored. So for here, I can just select yes. So this will log me in. And now at the top, you will notice that your credentials will show there. So here I can now, for instance, see my profile, grades, all of that for this learning management system. So very important, make sure that you are able to log in to this portal. If you're not logged in, you will actually not be able to reply to the activities. So you need to log in on this page so that you can do the activities. We've got I've got a problem accessing the website. So just if you're having access, I'll post the link as well. It's pinned at the top as well of the chat. So please, I'll give you the link as well to directly access the course. Let me copy this into the chat. You can click on this link that's in the chat as well. So just click on this one, adovh.unisa.ac.za to access the course. Okay, got it. Okay, so as you're accessing, so remember on here, on the page, if you, for instance, have not claimed your MyUnisa password, the video is on here as well, how to claim your password. You will have to then wait a bit. It can take up to 24 hours for your MyLife account then to be created. If you want to guidance on how to access your MyLife email account, we do have this access your UNISA MyLife email account. We will, when we do the Office 365 introduction, we will walk you through this as well, how to actually access your Microsoft 365 account. Then we've also got here, you know, how to log into this course. So if you miss the steps, you know how to log in. The steps are on here as well. So you can follow the steps exactly here to make sure that you are signed in. So at the top right, your credentials must show here that you are logged in. So you must be able to clearly view your profile and all of that. So this Create a Microsoft Learn path, learning path, we will get started with that a little bit later once we will start with the activities. But the steps are on here as well if you want to start already with the Microsoft Learn. So remember, on this section, the recordings will be made available. So if you want to join any or have a refresher, you can always come to the previous recordings. Now, I saw there's a few questions of how to register for the face-to-face session. So there is on that page a registration. So if you want to join, for instance, one of the weekday sessions, workshops, currently we are hosting them in Gauteng. So the next ones that we will be visiting will be Florida from Monday to Friday, and then the Vaal Center, and then also Ekurhuleni Center. If you're in another region, we are still going to come to you, and we will send out information when we are going to have the face-to-face workshops in your specific region. So remember, these are weekdays from 8:30 to 1 o'clock. If you want to have a face-to-face session, you are more than welcome to register here, and we will update this form once we establish the dates for all the other centers that we will be joining. Okay, so now just to get started, very important as well, is this pre-course assessment survey. So I just want all of you to be able to access this pre-course assessment survey. I will post a link in the chat as well. Okay, so you can just in the chat, we're just gonna do this pre-course assessment. I just want to see there is still people asking about registration. So remember, if you want to do a week session, you can register online. It's under this registration link. I'll put the link in the chat as well for you. Now, you do not need to register for these sessions that we are running now. We will actually get your information from the LMS once you logged in to determine who is participating and who will be receiving certificates. So the registration is only for the weekday sessions, but for this one, you do not need to register. So you should be able to access this platform. If you're still struggling to access the platform, just ask in the chat. Our colleagues are there to assist you to get onto the site. But for now, I just really want you to get onto the course site. So by now you should be already on the course site. The links have been shared in the chat as well. So from there, we now want you to rate your skills. So I'll put the link to the forum, the form as well. So this really just helps us to get established what is your current skills. So when we do this in the future, we know where to, perhaps some topics that we need to cover a little bit more. So really is to give you the best benefit out of this session. I'm just quickly going to pop in that link as well. So please visit this page. So you can either type in the URL, scan it with your phone, or you can click on the link that is in the chat. Alternatively, if you go onto this course page, if you scroll down, it's under prerequisites. We've got this one. Where is it now? That's just pre-course survey, this one. It is a requirement that you do view it. So please click on this one. And then you just click on this button to open the pre-course assessment, and you just can quickly complete this. So I'm just going to give you 2 minutes to quickly complete this form. Okay, so see, Free State is not in the regional size. What must I put? So remember, Free State falls under Midlands. Remember, if you're Free State, you will click the Midlands region. If you're Limpopo or Mpumalanga, it will be Northeastern. Western Cape is Cape Town and George. And then Eastern Cape is East London, Tata, Kibera. Okay, so please, just complete this form, the survey, while we continue. So what I do want to note for you on this page is you'll notice here, for instance, there's like this little view button here. You'll see this one, view. So that means you must view this resource. If I click on the orientation page, it says there as well, I must view this page. So this gives you indication of what you need to do to complete this course. If I just zoom out a bit quickly. So you'll notice, for instance, when you come to the activities, you must view this page and make a forum post. So this will give you the indication of how you progress throughout this course. So this will really give you the indication as well, if you go to the course page, the percentage that you have completed. So this you can use as a guide once these are completed, that you know, oh, okay, I have completed that specific activity and it will be marked as completed. Okay, so I take it, hopefully everybody has already completed the survey. That will really just give us an indication of where you're at the moment, so that we can really, just give you quickly the basics of areas that you still need information from, and then we can build up into the more advanced areas to really get you up and running with all the activities that we'll be conducting. For now, I'm going to hand you back to Ingrid, that will introduce you our next section on digital literacy. Thank you, Ingrid.
Thank you, Richard. And next up, we have David, who will be talking about digital literacy, working with computers and accessing information online. David?
All right, thank you so much. All right, let me just quickly share my screen and include the sound. My presentation, guys, will have some videos in, so just be warned. But they're very short little videos, so they won't take too long. Okay. All right, students, so as we are starting this journey today, we are going to look at digital literacy. Now, we are going to start off with some very basic things about computers. Why we're doing this is to make sure that everyone is on board, because we can't assume everybody knows the basics. So that's why we're starting here. So each Saturday, we're just going to start off with a little bit of theory, some videos, and then the rest of the day, we're going to be doing very much practical things. Okay, so for the student expectations, you can maybe post it in the chat. We'd appreciate it. What do you think are the skills needed to be a successful online learner? So we'll give you a few seconds. You guys can please post in the chat, what skills do you think you need to be a successful online learner? And yes, we definitely would appreciate that feedback, because we really want you guys to interact with us today. It's not a one-directional event. So please post your answers to the question, what skills do you think you need to be a successful online learner? All right, so that's the tone for the day that we're going to set, because this is really what we want to do with you guys today. So as I said, we're going to start off with some very basic elemental things. So just bear with us if you do know this, or maybe test yourself out a little bit to make sure that you've got a proper understanding of these terminologies. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of the primary functions of a computer. So this is really our little agenda. The difference between hardware and software, it's quite important. What primary hardware parts makes up your computer, or even your laptop, or any device for that matter, and the common types of computing devices that we use. All right, so first and foremost, what is a computer? Okay, let's not think of the Terminator, all right? That's a little bit far-fetched, but yes, it is an electronic machine, all right, that stores and processes, and it has a bit different types of data and information that it uses, and it gives us some information depending on what we put into it. So that's really what it is. Now, most of you guys are using computers in some form or another, writing up your documents or playing games or sending emails or learning new skills like you're doing today, going on the internet and watching movies, of course, like Netflix and whatnot. You know, we're all of the streamers now because the world has changed. So yes, so we are using computers. So that really what is a computer, and your little cell phone that's sitting next to you might not be that little. That is a miniature version of a computer in essence, because the same technologies are sitting in there. There are 4 basic functions that you have with a computer. It's input, you give it information. It stores that information on a hard drive. It processes the information, and then it can give you some sort of output as well. I hope my sound is coming through clear. Richard, can you maybe just confirm, am my sound coming through clear?
Yes, you're clear, David.
Okay, I'm just checking. All right. Thanks for that. All right. And then we've got output, which normally displays or prints out. Okay, so that's really your output. So let's watch our first little video.
Computers are now used everywhere around us. You will find them at work, in stores, in hospitals, and at home. A computer is an electronic machine that can process, store, and retrieve different types of data and information. You can use the computer to perform many tasks, such as writing documents, playing games, sending emails, learning new skills, browsing the web, and watching movies. All computers consist of 2 main parts, hardware and software. Software refers to the intangible parts of a computer, the parts that can't be touched. This includes the instructions that control how the hardware functions, the applications running on the computer, and the data stored on the computer. Hardware includes all of the physical parts that make up a computer, such as the monitor and the central processing unit that keeps data moving. There are various types of computers that you may encounter, but they all share the same fundamental purpose of processing and storing information.
All right, so there we go. That also does include a tablet, by the way. It's also a computing device, and it also has similar types of hardware, just in a lot smaller space. All right, so as you saw from the video, we've got 2 different aspects that we look at. You pretty much have got your hardware. Let me just put in my mouse pointer quickly. Here she is. Okay, so you got your hardware, all the physical things that you can pull apart and put together in a computer. Just please make sure it's switched off. That's the golden rule of A+. Never have it connected. So yes, you got all these different hardware parts that fit all together, and they only fit in a specific way. And then you've got software, which is all the programs that you run on your computer. And the most important program is called your operating system. So just remember that. Make a little note for yourself. What is an operating system, and what is the rest of the software doing? But okay, we're going to delve into this a little bit later. All right, so here we go. As I said, the hardware, so it's all these different components. They're normally very much physical, and you plug them all together. And of course, there are certain things you need to take note of, especially when it comes to the types of hardware that you put together, because it only can fit in one way. So if you get some components and you're putting in your computer and they don't fit, that means it's the wrong component for the hardware that you've got currently. So it's all the physical parts and pretty much everything you can see in your screen. So even if you look at your device right now, that is really your hardware that you can use. So this is where all the storing and the processing happens. When we talk about software, now we are talking about the things that makes that hardware do things for us, all right? And that's why I said to you the operating system. Like you see, there's the Windows symbol. I'm sure you've all used Windows. We're currently on 10 and now 11. So 11 is pretty cool, by the way. I'm actually finding it way better than the previous ones. So it's definitely improved. Now your operating system goes between all your programs and the hardware. So it makes the hardware accessible to your programs, that your programs then can use it, like your speakers and your screen and all that such things, and the processor, of course. So like Microsoft Word and Excel and PowerPoint, they are sitting on the operating system, which then talks to the hardware. And that's how your computer works. So it's basically the instructions it follows. And of course, yes, when you use your software, it pretty much saves it. Well, of course, you need to do that. Now, a little bit more about the hardware components. You'll hear quite often, especially IT people, they love to talk about the CPU. Okay, that's the central processing unit. It's a small little chip inside of your box in the system unit. Okay, it's not the system unit itself. It's just a small little part. I know people tend to use this one in the wrong way, but it's a process. It's the brain of the computer. Then you've got your motherboard, which is pretty much the skeleton where all the other components connect to the brain. Okay, and then the software is basically the meat and the hair and all the rest of it. So to make you into a robot computer like I referred to earlier. So your RAM is basically just your random access memory. It's temporary. So that's why if you're typing something and you haven't saved and the power goes off, then you lose it all. Why? Because it's sitting in the RAM. It's not permanent memory. It's not your ROM. Power supply, that's basically where the electricity comes through. And then you've got your cooling fans because it gets really hot in there. So it needs to stay cold. And then you've got your hard drive. That's where we store our information. And our USB disks is a little version of a hard drive. And of course, you've got your monitor. And there's lots of other components. So if you go do your A+ course, then you can actually learn about all these different things and what and how they work together. So every device is different. And as with technology, it changes. That's why I said to you earlier, certain things are not going to fit in your computer if they are new to the market, because they might require a different motherboard or a different RAM or a different physical setup. So that's one catch with hardware. Most components do work, and they do work for some time, but unfortunately with computers, they at some point will stop working. So if you buy a computer today and 10 years down the road, most likely most of those hardware parts you're not going to find anymore. So then I think it's time to upgrade. So yes, so this is basically the importance of the hardware. So the hardware is going to do things for us, but it really depends on the software that you're going to use. All right, so let's see the next video.
Let's take a look at the primary hardware components that make up a computer. This includes the base unit, the monitor, the speakers, the keyboard, and the mouse. Each part serves a purpose that allows us to operate and interact with the computer. The base unit holds the brains of the computer, the physical parts that process information and make the computer function. It contains important components like the CPU, or central processing unit, the motherboard, the hard disk, and the memory units. It also contains ports that allow you to plug additional components or devices into your computer, like headphones or a printer. The monitor, sometimes referred to as the display, is the part of the computer that displays output for users to view, like graphics and text. In some cases, the monitor is a separate piece that you must physically plug into your computer. In other cases, the monitor is built into the computing device. The speakers allow you to listen to sound that comes from the computer. In some cases, the speakers are built into the computer. In other cases, you must physically connect speakers to your computer in order to hear audio. The keyboard is an input device used to interact with the computer. Using a keyboard, you can type letters, numbers, and characters that will be processed by the computer. Keyboards can be physical and attached to the computer, or they can be virtual, where you use a touch display to type by directly touching the screen of the monitor. The mouse is an important device used to interact with items displayed on the screen. When you move the mouse, a pointer on the screen also moves, allowing you to operate the computer. You can plug a physical mouse into your computer or use the touchpad that is built into some computers and provides the same function. All of these parts may not look the same for every type of computer, but they still provide the same functions.
All right, there we go, guys. So that pretty much summed up everything that I told you guys, and I hope it added some value over there. All right, so what type of personal computers do we get? Now, of course, they come in different shapes and sizes. There are many different brands that you can find out there, but pretty much all the components inside are already talking about the same manufacturer, to be honest. Your Intel and your AMD, for example, as the processors. They both do the job, so it's not a problem. So we've got desktop computers. Now, those tend to be these little guys here. They're not as common as they used to be when I was a bit younger. But nowadays, it's mostly your laptops or your notebooks, which are a little bit smaller. And of course, you've got your mobile phones and your tablets. And, so yes, there are different types, but pretty much they all are computers. Let's see the next video.
Computers come in many forms. Some of the most common types are desktop computers, laptops, and mobile phones. But other types of devices such as calculators, gaming consoles, and smart TVs are also computers. The types of computers that we use in our daily lives are called personal computers. Let's look at some of the most common types of personal computing devices and their uses. A desktop is a personal computer designed to stay in one place, like on top of a desk. A desktop computer typically has separate pieces for the base unit, monitor, speakers, keyboard, and a mouse. These parts must be connected using cables. Desktop computers must be plugged in to a power source. A laptop is a portable personal computer, where all parts of the computer are contained in one device. Laptops contain a built-in processing unit, monitor, keyboard, speaker, and mouse touchpad. Laptops are battery-powered, so they do not always need to be plugged into a power source. This makes them easy to be used on the go. A tablet is another type of portable personal computer. The computer parts that make up the tablet are contained in a single device that is smaller than most laptops, typically the size of a book. Because of their small portable size, tablets are often used for entertainment activities, like watching movies or playing games. You can install software applications on tablets that allow you to perform various tasks. A smartphone is a common type of portable personal computing device that is small enough to be handheld. The primary use of smartphones is to make phone calls using mobile networks, but they can be used for much more. You can use a variety of software applications on your smartphone that allow you to take photos, play games, browse the web, send emails, read documents, and more. These apps are great for on-the-go scenarios, but they are typically a lot more basic than the apps you can install on your desktop or laptop computer. Depending on your needs, there are a variety of personal computing devices that you can use to get things done.
All right, fantastic, guys. So next up is that thing that I referred to a little bit earlier, the operating system. And as I said to you guys, it pretty much makes the hardware work with your software that you guys are going to use, like your applications. So it's very, very important. So really, what does your operating system do? Well, it controls the hardware, it controls the software, and that's pretty much where you should learn how the computer works before you install all the different apps. So we are going to be working through quite a number of different softwares through this next 3 Saturdays. So definitely we're going to have some fun with all the different types of softwares. Now, your operating system, there are different types. All right, if you look on the little diagrams we've got here, some of them I'm sure you can recognize. There's your Linux, your Windows, Android, this scary little guy. It's quite new, and there's Apple and iOS. So yes, there's quite a few different options that you've got. So depending on your device, you will have a different type of operating system. So Richard is going to pop in a poll. We want to know from you guys, what operating system is your device currently using? And if you know what it is, please do pop in the answer for us. So then we can actually gauge and be quite interested to see what do you guys actually use and what type of device is using the operating system. So, because as we said, it's quite important. So please make sure you keep your operating system up to date, because that will definitely be quite important. All right, Richard, are we going to post?
The poll should be live on your side now, David.
All right, fabulous. Thank you.
Is everybody seeing the poll that's on? Yes, we got a thumbs up there.
Okay, fabulous. All right, so guys, put in the
there's
operating
also
system.
a lot of Windows, a lot of Android users.
Okay, good. So a lot, and so means you guys need to keep those things updated. Hey, very important. Keep your operating system updated so it can stay secure as possible. All right, so let's get on to the next video.
What is an operating system? Computers are tools that allow us to get things done electronically. To use a computer for our tasks, we need to be able to tell the computer what we want it to do. Operating systems make this possible. The operating system, sometimes called the OS, is the main piece of software that runs in a computer. The operating system manages all other software and hardware parts of the computer and provides a way for you to communicate with the computer. Modern operating systems are designed with graphical interfaces containing icons, buttons, and text that make it easy for people to use the computer. You can even customize the look and feel of your operating system so that it's easier for you to use in the way you'd like. Consider that you want to use your computer to create a text document. You can use the graphical menus and buttons within the operating system to create the document, use the keyboard to enter text into your document, and tell the operating system to save your file. The operating system handles all of the physical tasks behind the scenes, like keeping track of what you typed on the keyboard, controlling the processor, and saving your information to the hard drive. There are different types of operating systems for different types of computers. Many PCs run the Microsoft Windows operating system, while Mac computers run the Mac OS system, and some computers run the Linux operating system. Mobile devices run different operating systems than laptops and desktop computers. When you purchase a computer, the operating system for that device is usually pre-installed for you. Operating systems make it possible for us to operate computers and get things done.
All right, fantastic. Yes, back in the day when we had our 286 computers, we had to install the operating system, guys. So it was definitely not straightforward. So thankfully, technology has moved along quite a lot, and I think life is a lot easier now that it's installed. Okay, so your Windows 10 or Windows 11, it's normally pre-installed. Nowadays, it's how it is. You'll just log in. You might need to create a user account. If you already have one, you can use that user account, and then you can log into your Windows-based computer. And it's usually quite a fairly quick thing to do. So normally you'll see a screen like this, and this person is called Harold Passmore, and he types in his password, and then he would be able to do it. Normally, it does require an internet connection the very first time you're connecting your device so that you can obviously log in, like, for example, with your My Life email account, because it is Microsoft linked.
Windows 10 is the latest version of Microsoft's operating system for PCs and tablets, as well as many other devices. Windows comes pre-installed on most new devices. In this video, we will explore the basics of working with an operating system. We'll use the Windows 10 operating system for examples, but these concepts carry over to other operating systems.
Just give me a second. I don't think the video's quite started where it should.
Windows 10 is the latest version of Microsoft's operating system for PCs and tablets, as well as many other devices. Windows comes pre-installed on most new devices. In this video, we will explore the basics of working with an operating system.
Okay, all right, that video isn't loading correctly, guys, so we'll just maybe pop it under the chat, and you guys could watch it a little bit later. But pretty much it's just explaining that Windows is there already, so you just need an internet connection with your user account, and you can create it for free on Windows website. A Hotmail account can work, any Microsoft account pretty much can work, and then you will be able to log in. Now, with your operating system, it is designed in a way that its user interface, basically what you're seeing with your mouse, your keyboard, it allows you then to basically work with documents. But in order to work with documents, we need to be able to create folders where we can store information, to organize. That's really what folders are about. And then the files is basically the information that we type up and that we save becomes a file. It can be music, videos, text files, Excel spreadsheets, pretty much anything that the application does can be saved as a file, which you can then store inside a folder or subfolders, and you can pretty much build up your own set of folders just to make it organized. Because if you don't have folders, then you can end up with a very busy desktop with all sorts of files all over the show, and it makes it difficult to work with. Now, to create a folder, it's pretty easy. You just hit the Windows key, and then you hit the E button, and it'll pop up your File Explorer. And we're going to look at that in a few seconds. In your taskbar, you can even type it up. And then on your Home tab, you can also select a new folder. Now, pretty much all these steps I'm just going to show you. But yeah, these are basically the things that you can do. And then you can create a folder. You type in its name. You can highlight folders. and you can also rename them if you necessarily need to do that. So before I get there, I know it's popping up soon. Okay, there's a little video that's going to explain all these different aspects. So let's quickly see how to create a new folder.
Whatever the reason you need a folder, creating them is easy. Let's start by opening File Explorer. You can either find it in your taskbar or you can search for it in the search bar. I want to create a new folder for some of my business documents. So I will create a folder called Business. And since I want to find it easily, I will create it inside my Documents folder. Here, I go to the top and click the Home tab, and then select New Folder. A new folder will appear in the list below. Notice the name of the folder is highlighted. Windows now wants me to rename the folder what I would like it to be called. Click within the name, select all of New Folder, and then rename the folder Business. And click Enter. There's my new folder. Now that I have my new folder, how do I create a file? To do this, let's go back into that new folder I just created. Once in the folder, again go to the Home tab and select the New Item drop-down list. We're now presented with a selection of new types of files we can create. Once we select one, like Microsoft Word document or text document, it will create a document in your folder. Once it is created, like when we created a new folder, it is waiting for you to rename the file. Let's say I'm an author and thinking of writing a new book, and I want to create a list of types of book I may write. So let's call this file Book Ideas. Now that the file is created, we can open it and edit it. Okay, so I may have named that file wrong. Instead of Book Ideas, I should have named it Book Types. So now I need to rename the file. To do this, just find the file in the folder and click it. Then go to the Home tab and select Rename. Now I can rename it. Now that I think about it, I created that file in the wrong folder. It should have been created in a folder I've already created called New Book. So let's move it to that folder. To do this, select the file, go to the Home tab and select the Move To drop-down list. There are several selections of where we may want to move that file. The folder I want to move it to is not listed, so I can select Choose Location. There is my folder. Select it and click Move, and it disappears from the current folder. And here it is in the new folder. That was pretty easy. Actually, I like it back in that other folder better. Another way to move files is to drag and drop them. To move this file back into the other folder, click and hold on the file, then drag it to the new folder. Then let the mouse button go to drop the file into the new folder. Now that I think about it, I'm not an author, so I shouldn't be writing a book after all. No one would buy it. So let's delete that file. If you do not need a file anymore and would like to delete it or throw it away, simply select the file, go to the Home tab, and select Delete. There, the file is gone. But don't worry, now you know how to create files and folders, rename them, move files from one folder to another, and delete files.
All right, so there we go, guys. So pretty much summed up, showed you guys how to do it. So very importantly, with your File Explorer window, so when you hit the Windows button, you'll see it has the icon of Microsoft Windows and the E together. Then this little guy is going to pop up, File Explorer. So when you hear the word tabs, these little guys here are tabs that allows you to move around inside the actual ribbon. So the ribbon has basically all the little features. So we've got a Home tab, Share, and View, and all the information there. We've got back and forward up buttons. So there's your navigation buttons. You've got your navigation pane. So if I click here, then it goes a bit quicker to the location that I would like to go to. So that's a way of navigating. Your address bar sits over here. For example, because we're selecting quick access, it tells me where I am already. There's your search box. So this is where you can type in. So if you've got many, many documents and you can't find the one you're looking for, try to type the file name or part of the file name, and the search box will try and find it for you. Then you've got your folders, always has the yellow background sort of icon, you know, the old folder that you used to use back in the day. Well, we still kind of do use it now and then. And then, of course, you've got files which come from your applications. So this is your File Explorer window, and it's very important that you understand this little guy. Even on your smartphone, it also has a File Explorer window, but it looks quite different because of the space size issues. But I'm sure you already are interacting with it when you move around to your gallery and things like that. So that's quite interesting. So now we've learned some very basic things about the File Explorer. Now, as the video showed us, there's ways of copying and moving and deleting. So there's something called the right click. So when you look at your mouse, if you've got the old-fashioned mouse that you move around, you'll see that it's divided into 2 pieces or even 3. So on the left side of the mouse is your left click. We normally just say click, then we say it's left click. We don't normally say left click, we just say click, but you accept it's a left click. Then you might have a middle button or a scroll button that allows you to scroll up and down your screen. And then you've got the right click. So when we talk about right click, we're always specific about it. We always say right click on and then do the following. So when we say click, it's just normal clicking. Right click means we want to look at those extra options that are available. So when I right click on a file or even a folder, you're going to find pretty much these are the type of things that you're going to see, but there are normally quite a few different things as well. And those additional features, yes, are available then depending on which software you're using. But the main ones that you'll always find is the delete, the copy, the open, the rename, and the move. So pretty much like the video was showing you, that's also a way of doing it. So the guy used the built-in functions in Windows Explorer, but you can also use your mouse to actually do these functions as well. All right, so let's have a look and see how it's done.
When you're using your mouse, right-clicking makes it easier and faster to do certain tasks on your computer. First off, what is the right click? As you know, the left button of the mouse is the primary action button. When selecting an item, clicking a link, clicking and dragging an item, etc., the left button is always the button you use. But the right mouse button is used to access special menus. Each type of component on your computer will have a slightly different menu of options when right-clicking. One use of the right click is when you're working with files. For example, instead of navigating to the File Manager home menu to delete a file, you can right-click on the file and scroll down to the Delete option. It's useful to check the menu for items you're working with. There are often a lot of helpful actions you can access by right-clicking on something. When you right-click on a file, for instance, besides having the option to delete it, you can also copy it, open it, rename it, move it, etc. We can also view the properties of a file and learn much more about it. Hover over the file, then right-click and select Properties. Here we are given information about the file, its current location, what kind of file it is, the size of the file, when it was created, when it was last modified. This type of information may be helpful for you sometime in the future, and now you know exactly how to find it. You can also right-click inside of a folder to access a different menu of options. For example, here you can create a new file or folder inside of the folder you're already in. You can also view the properties of the folder and customize the way files are viewed in the folder. Option in mind when you're working within Windows 10 and see what options you have access to. They can help you work more efficiently.
All right, fantastic. So that's a very nice demonstration on how to use the right click. Then you can also personalize your device. I'm sure most of you guys are doing this anyway, changing the backgrounds and the ringtones and all such of things. With desktops, laptops, students do the same, or everyone does the same. We all change things to make it look like the way we want it to look. So that's the whole idea of personalization. So on the Start button, if you click on Open, and you click on Start, you'll see there's an option saying Settings. You click on Select Personalization, and then basically all the features are there. Now, of course, as I've done before, there is going to be a video to show you how this works.
To be more comfortable while using your computer, you can customize the settings of various aspects of your operating system. Let's take a look around. To find the Personalization menu, first click the Start button to open the Start menu. Then select Settings. Within Settings, select Personalization. Within this menu, you can personalize your Windows 10 experience a great deal. For this video, we will concentrate on some of the more popular ways to customize Windows 10: background, colors, the lock screen, themes, and the taskbar. First, we will personalize the background. To do this, click Background. We have a choice between Picture, which is what I have now, Solid Color, and Slideshow. Solid Color is exactly that, changing your background to a solid color. You have many to choose from, or you can select a custom color. If you have photos in your Pictures folder or anywhere else on your computer, selecting Slideshow would randomly display photos from that folder as your background. For now, I think I will go with the blue Windows logo as my background. Colors lets you really customize aspects of your experience with whatever colors you'd like. You can let Windows automatically select the color from the background image you're currently using, or you can select your favorite color from the large selection below. Also here in Colors, you can choose if you want the taskbar and Start menu to feature the color you've chosen, as well as choose whether you want your apps to appear in light or dark mode. You can also customize your lock screen. This is the screen you will see when you log into Windows 10. You can select from Windows Photos or use one of your own. You can also choose Slideshow, and it will randomly display photos from a folder you choose every time you visit the lock screen. Themes are groups of background images, colors, sounds, etc. that make up a specific experience within Windows. There are some preloaded themes to choose from, or you could find more themes in the Microsoft Store. Within a theme, you can also choose to change one aspect of the theme to suit your taste. For instance, I like this theme, but I would love the color to be a little brighter. There, that's more like it. Lastly, there is the taskbar. Within this customization menu, you can lock or unlock the taskbar. You can have the taskbar hide from view until you need it for something. You can make the icons in the taskbar smaller. This really helps if you've loaded your taskbar with shortcuts to applications. And if you want, you can move the taskbar itself to the right, to the left, or even to the top of the screen. When you're using your own computer, being able to customize your settings can make using Windows 10 easier and fun.
Indeed, because you're going to be using your computer, definitely you would want to customize it and to ensure that, yeah, it looks the way you want it to look. Just remember the lock screen, guys, especially if you've got a laptop computer, because you use it, you walk around a lot with it, you maybe travel with it a lot. Make sure you have a lock screen in there, because if in the unfortunate event someone steals it, at least then they won't be able to get into, hopefully, all your data, because then at least your screen would have been locked, which requires a password. So yes, so just remember that as well. All right, so we've got 180 seconds, so it's basically 3 minutes. We've been through quite a few videos. I want you guys to just have a bit of a stretch your legs, think about what we've done so far. Richard, if there's any poll that they must still complete, hopefully they've completed the polls. So we're going to give you guys 180 seconds, just have a quick stretch, and then we are going to continue. So while you are reflecting, maybe pop in the chat some of the interesting or information that is new to you, or something that you found that, wow, okay, I'm going to try this. Maybe post it in the chat for us. Let us know what you found interesting in this first section of digital literacy. Okay, if the guys are joining us, we're having a quick reflection. So the event is still going on. All right, guys, saving time, let's continue. All right, so do post those chats in there. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, next section we're going to look at is accessing information online in digital citizenship. I think this is what we're tackling next week, guys. So just to give you a clue that this is what we will tackle next week, Saturday, from the beginning, accessing information online. All right, so I can hand back to Denzel.
Not Denzel, but Ingrid.
Sorry, Ingrid.
It's okay. If you, David, if you are finished, then Richard, it is your turn on introducing Office 365. Richard?
Thank you, Ingrid. Just let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet. It's coming. There we go. It's on.
Okay, great. So I see there is quite a few questions in the chat regarding how to reset your password if you've perhaps forgot your MyUnisa password. So once we do the activity to access Microsoft 365 on your account, we will just also quickly have a look at the steps you need to take if you need to reset your MyUnisa password. So in this section, we're going to start off with Microsoft 365. What it is, and also then how to just get your access to it so that when we do the other activities, you are ready and activated. So what we're going to be covering is what is Microsoft 365, what productivity apps do it contain, and then how to access your Microsoft 365 account. So I just want you to, in the chat, just indicate what is your understanding of cloud computing. Do you know what cloud computing is? Have you ever used cloud computing for any of your activities? So just in the chat, just let us know, do you know what cloud computing is and if you have used it before? I see there, David, you must get a better timer for your reflection time. That was only 120 seconds. Never heard of it. Yo, okay. No idea at all. Okay, great. So let's get started with this section. So just remember, we have covered it before, but if you're a UNISA student, remember your My Life email address is actually a Microsoft 365 account. You might have heard formerly, being referred to as Office 365. The Office 365 contains all the productivity apps, but it falls into the wider Microsoft 365 account. And currently, the whole platform is being renamed to Microsoft 365. So don't be worried if somebody says Office 365 or Microsoft 365. It's pretty much the same thing. So what is Microsoft 365? So this is actually cloud computing. Once you log in, everything happens on the cloud. You can download apps on your device, but everything syncs back to your cloud account. So everything is basically stored on the server that's being maintained by Microsoft. So everything, the activities you do, your emails, everything is within this environment. And that is what's called basically cloud computing. So I'm just going to play you this little video just as an introduction. I think I must just share with my sound. Okay.
With Microsoft,
Let me just put this here.
365, you get the newest version of Office 365, Windows 10, and best-in-class security. Microsoft Teams lets your team stay organized and have conversations all in one place. Office apps like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint help you and your team be creative and work together. Securely save your files in the cloud with OneDrive so you can get to them from anywhere. You can store any type of file, including images, spreadsheets, presentations, and more. Then share and work in real time with your coworkers, no matter if you're in the office or on the go. Keep organized and connected with the mobile apps on your devices. And stay productive from any browser with Office for the web. Work and collaborate from anywhere and on any device with Microsoft 365.
Okay, great, awesome. I just see in the chat there's a few still asking about the survey. Remember, you don't need to complete the survey immediately. You can do it after the session as well, or when we get started with the activities.
Microsoft.
So basically, as you can see, everything is stored within the cloud. The cloud is basically a server that's being maintained by Microsoft, and you can access this information from that server on all your devices. So it can even sync up. For instance, say you've got a document on your mobile phone, you can work on it on your mobile phone. When you get to a laptop or a desktop PC, you just log in and you continue working on that same document. So everything is securely stored in the cloud and you can access it from any device. So that's what makes it so powerful, especially, traditionally, or the older days, we used to use USBs, and then the USB might fail, or you save everything to your desktop PC, and then your hard drive crashes and you lose all that information. But by maintaining it in the cloud, you know it's secure, it's safe. It also creates backups for you and version control. So for instance, if you work on a document and you make a mistake on the document, you perhaps delete a section and you save the document, you can actually still go back into that versions to get previous versions of that document. So if all the information documents you work on is very, very secure and safe online. So just to give you like a broader view, so Office generally contains the productivity apps such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. You also get, for instance, the Windows, the operating system with Windows 10 and Windows 11. If you're still on Windows 7 or 8, please try and upgrade as soon as possible. There is still some ways of upgrading for free. So please try at least to get to Windows 10. And then obviously Microsoft 365 is used quite a lot in business. As you can understand also in UNISA, everything runs on the Microsoft Enterprise, how can I say, servers and tenants. So once you go into business, your company might have a Microsoft 365 account, which you would log in. If you're at the University of UNISA, you log in with that account, and that's the whole ecosystem for that company, or where all the information is shared and worked upon. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of apps in Microsoft 365. I mean, if you go and explore, for instance, on the platform, if you log in with your student account, you will have access to all these different types of apps. Now, if you're going to be following this course and using a free Microsoft 365 account, you will generally won't have access to all these apps because a lot of it is specific for business and for the advanced licenses. But you will still have access to the apps that we will be using in this specific course. So really, if UNISA actually made all these apps available to students as well. So if you're interested, for instance, in Power Apps to create your own apps, you can definitely go have a look at Power Apps. You can create like a little mobile app for any usage, that you perhaps can think of to help you with studies. There's also, for instance, things like Power Automate, so you can automate a lot of tasks in there. And these apps are very powerful. So, but for us, we will focus on the basic apps just to get you started. But please, when you have time after this course, go and explore all these apps that's available, because this is the apps that you might be using in business one day. So the apps that we will be looking at throughout this course will be Outlook, your UNISA email account, your OneDrive, how to securely save and manage files, Teams. As you know, Teams are being used quite a lot now in the university for online workshops, but also for group work, especially if you get to postgraduate level. You'll have to work in groups quite a lot, and then it becomes really valuable to know how this works. And then we'll also have to look at OneNote, where you can quickly take notes of your studies or anything that you want to remember all in one place, and you can access it very quickly from any device. Then you've got your productivity apps. So we will look at Word, how to create a Word document online, sharing that Word document, working on it collaboratively, and also PowerPoint, how to create a PowerPoint online, also share that PowerPoint, and also some tips and tricks when you do your PowerPoint presentation. We will just do a quick introduction to Excel. For those of you that have not accessed Excel before, we'll just do an introduction, but unfortunately of this series, we won't have enough time to really delve into Excel. And then also just an overview of forms. So you all have forms already now experienced if you complete the survey. And another one that's not on this list that we will be looking at is Sway specifically. And Sway is actually very nice if you want to do portfolios, as I mentioned, your CV, any thing that you want to make public, to easily share it. You can just give somebody a link to your Sway, and it's online for them to access. So you might think now, but why do I need to use Microsoft 365? I've got Office perhaps on my computer. Why would I want to use this? So it's the advantages. You can access your documents from anywhere. You can work on it from any device. I mean, if you upload everything on there, you go overseas, you just log into a computer there and you've got access to all your documents. You can collaborate on these documents in real time. So we've even had documents where people up to 10 to 20 people work on the same document. So it's not more sending a document from the one to the other, to edit or update. Documents are saved automatically. I do know in the past, sometimes you work quite long on a document and then suddenly it crashes and then you lost all that work that you worked on. So luckily, if you connect it with your OneDrive on your desktop or your device and you're working on those documents, they are saved continuously automatically and you do not lose that files. Your files are secured and safe. Everything is securely saved online. So the only thing that you really have to just protect is access to your account. And you learned it now in the previous session, the importance of a secure password. Then finally, it also allows us to create classes and workshops online like we are doing at the moment. And especially when you get to the work environment as well, Teams are being used, like Zoom, all of these features to collaborate online, especially for people working from home or from different areas. And it's really become a central place for people to be able to work over long distances. Okay, so what I want you to do is we'll do it later again. It's just how to access Microsoft 365. So you can visit office.com. Remember, if you are not a UNISA student, you have to create a free account. They sign up for the free version of Office. If you're a UNISA student, you're just going to sign in with your My Life email account. So you can click on either go to office.com or portal.office.com, but we will take you through the steps shortly. Now, I just also want to indicate to you, once you logged in, you will go to your dashboard and you can get Office 365 apps. So if you prefer to download everything to your computer or your laptop, you can download all of this. And you can install these software on up to 5 devices. So all you need to do is download the Office 365 apps and you will get Office, Word, all of the ones that you'll be working with. And it's on your computer and you just sign in with your My Life email address. So just a reminder, you can also get it if you're using a mobile device. You can get it from the Google Play Store and the iOS App Store. So you can download these apps and you can download the Word apps, all of them that's part of Microsoft. And you just sign in with your My Life email account or the free account that you create for Outlook, and you will be able to sync up all your files from there. Okay, so let's quickly have a look. To get started, thank you everybody for completing this survey. I see there's quite a big representation from Gauteng. I see we've got some international students as well. So just welcome for everybody from all the different areas. Okay, but let's get started. So what I want you to do, I'll post a link in the chat as well, is to visit Office. So the link I'm going to post is going to take you directly to the sign-in page. But I will show you the alternative way. So what you just need to do is search for office.com. So you can just type in at the top office.com. On this page that you will see here, you can see there is, for instance, a sign in button. So you can just click on the sign in button over here. Okay, so I just want to quickly show you in a new view. Just quickly get this out here. So you just go to office.com. Just do it from here. My credentials were saved already for that one. So you can go get a sign up for a free version of Microsoft 365 by clicking on the link below. You can register with a new email or existing email that you have. But if you're a UNISA student and you've got your MyLife email address, you just click on sign in. So here you will need to insert your student number followed by @mylife.unisa.ac.za. And then just click next. Very importantly, you'll need to select here, if you get this message, it's a work or school account. Remember, if you're going to create your own account, it will be a personal account. But for the MyLife email addresses, it's a work or school account. Then you just type in your MyUnisa password. Sign in. So as we said earlier as well, if it's your own device, you can definitely select this, don't show it again, and save my credentials so that every time you open up your PC, you don't have to sign in again. But if you are working on a lab PC or at the library that other people are also using, then generally you will not click this button and select no. So here you just select, if it's your own device, you can select yes. And this should open up your Microsoft 365 portal. Now, I just quickly want to show if you forgot your MyUnisa password, you can go to MyUnisa. And you have to follow the steps, forgotten UNISA password. So remember, if you have not claimed your UNISA login, very importantly, you'll have to do this very quickly. Claim your UNISA login to get your MyUnisa login, because that's the password for your MyLife account. Remember, if you're going to claim your UNISA login at this time, it can take up to 24 hours for the license to be activated. So just take note of that. If you have forgotten your UNISA password, you can just click on this link over here, forgotten UNISA password. And then you just follow the steps to reclaim your password, because you will need to have that password to be able to sign into Microsoft 365. So I just want you to note that. Currently, my UNISA was down this morning, but it is still a bit slow. So just give it some time to load if you are going to be resetting a password or claiming your UNISA password. Okay, so once you log into the portal, you'll notice it will give you different sections. So at the top, it will just say welcome and your name. There will be some recommendations if you have worked on here before, some quick access areas, for perhaps documents that you've been working on to quickly access them again. And so there is different sections, and it might even show all the apps that's available to you. So this is basically the landing page of Microsoft 365. You've got access to all your apps. So remember, if you want to download any of the apps here at the top left or top right, depending on what license you have, you can download various of the apps that's available to you for your desktop PC. So for instance, if you want to download Microsoft 365, that contains Outlook, OneDrive, all of that to your device, you can just click on this button, Microsoft 365 apps. Now, very importantly is this icon here at the top left. It's called the waffle by some devices. So I'm just quickly going to zoom in on this one. So this is the app launcher, this one. So please make sure you've got access to this app launcher and that you can see various apps. So you should at least be able to see Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Teams, and Sway. If you're not seeing these apps and you're a UNISA student, that means for instance, if you just see Outlook and Calendar, that means you're perhaps using an older My UNISA, My Life account, and you do not have a license yet. So I'll post a link in the chat where you have to then go claim that license. So I'm just quickly going to zoom out here. Let me get that link for you.
Hi, Richard. I've posted the link.
Okay. Thanks, David.
Oh.
So I just want to show you on this one. If you are going to if you do not see all the apps, you'll visit this page. That's the link's been posted. So remember, you only need to do this if you have claimed your My Life account. You are able to log in, but all the apps aren't showing. So here you will just insert, for instance, your student number, your My Life email address. You will select I'm a student and just sign in, and then the license will be assigned to you. So please, if you're not seeing all the apps that we are seeing on our screen over here, especially Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, then you need to follow that process just to activate your license. And it can take up to an hour or more for these apps then to appear. So just in an hour or so, refresh the page and the app should then be available to you if you completed that process. So just remember, so on this page, we've got on the left-hand side is quick access to some of the apps. At the top bar is the search, and you've also got your settings and profile on here. So if you go under your profile, for instance, you can view the account, and this will give you, for instance, information on what type of license you have, what apps are available to you. Let's quickly waiting for this one to open. So for instance, it will give you your profile information, subscriptions. If you go today, you can view exactly what license you have. So you should, for instance, if you're a UNISA student, have an A1 education license. So just remember, you can come here to view all your profile information by clicking on this icon at the top right. Now, if you click on this button, and you click on Microsoft 365, or you can click here at the bottom, all apps, it will display all the apps that's available to you. So as you can see, there is quite a lot. So for instance, there's some that's very business specific, like Delve, what Excel, Forms. A lot of people are using now, for instance, as well, the online chats that's available on here on Yammer. It's almost like Facebook. So there's a lot of apps here to explore. So remember, in this series, the ones that we are going to explore is OneDrive. We're going to have a look at OneNote, Outlook, introduction to PowerPoint, Word, Sway, and then button Teams. Definitely, we're going to delve in quite a lot on that. But feel free to go and explore. If you want to be, a little bit more ambitious and go try to build your own app, for instance, try Power Apps. If you want to automate things, file creation and moving, try Power Automate. You can definitely go play around with it on here, and because you've got access to these apps. So remember, just if you've got a free account, you will just have access to the apps that we will be using in this course, in this series. So what I also want you to do, if you're on this page, I think I'm just quickly going to ask David just to do a poll, just to see how many of you are able to log in or have logged into your Microsoft 365 account. So you should be on this page at the moment. Now, also what I want you to do is So remember, you'll have to have access to this course page over here and access to your Microsoft 365 account. The app building is a little bit different in Visual Studio. I see there's a question regarding Power Apps, asking if it's the same as Visual Studio. So these Power Apps work a little bit differently. It's more, if you're familiar with Excel functions and things like that, so it's a lot easier. It's a user interface that you use, and you just use functions for tasks that can be done. So really, if you know Visual Studio, go to have a look at Power Apps. A lot of it you can actually build extensions from with Visual Studio as well. So it will give you a good idea of how to build an app. So just please complete the survey that's on there at the moment, so we can just see that everybody is on this, has logged into the Microsoft 365.
Richard, for those students who might not be students at UNISA, maybe they don't have a MyLife account, or maybe just someone that's attending because you're interested what your partner's doing, you can create a Hotmail account, and then you can at least have some basic access to some of the Microsoft products.
Yes, so I just quickly want to show you again, to do it on this one over here. So if you are not a UNISA student, all you need to do is go to office.com. David, we're not using Hotmail anymore. That's for the old people. It's Outlook accounts now.
So, yes, of course.
So on this page, just click on here, sign up for a free version of Microsoft 365. So they are going to ask you quite a lot, do you want to buy the premium, all of that. So you don't need to take any of this. You can do all of this with the free apps that's available that we're going to be using. So you just click, if you are not using a UNISA student, all you need to do is click on this link at the bottom, sign up for a free version of Microsoft 365, follow the steps, and then once you log in afterwards with the account that you created, then you will have access to this portal. Yeah, I see 93% of the people are logged in already. So that's great. So on this page, what I also want you to just have a look at is your settings. Now, let me just zoom up here. Move this. So at the top, there's this little gear icon over here. So just click on that settings. And remember, so here you can actually personalize it as well. So very importantly, you can, for instance, select a theme. If you prefer a different theme, there's quite a few that you can select from. And then also change your language. So if you're in a different time zone, all of that, you can set it up here. So very importantly, usually it's set up to, for instance, United States. So here you can actually come and set up it to be your local language, and also the regional format, for instance, to be English South Africa for the date and time formats and all of that. So please have a look at the settings and set up also your display language, your preferred language to be used for the interface, and then also your region, very importantly. So because this will help you when you book meetings or create files, that it actually shows the correct date for you specifically. So just remember, the regional format will be English South Africa. And then also your time zone will be +2 Harare Pretoria. So just make sure you got these settings set up when you get started. So I'm just going to show again how to get here. Let me just go back here. Okay, so we can just go, let me just go here back. The page now. So all you need to click is this gear icon, and then you just say change your language if you want to set up that date and time, but please feel free to choose one of these themes as well. Okay, so that everybody, I think, is probably got, there's still a few people struggling to get access, but please do so while we're gonna, in the next 3 minutes, we're just gonna give you also 3 minutes just to get ready for the next section. So for next, we're gonna do OneDrive. So to complete those activities, you do need access to these pages. You need access to the course site, and you need access to Microsoft 365. And you can keep those two apps open in your browser. So for when we do the activities, you do have access to them. And if you have any stuck with anything, please ask in the chat if you are struggling to access the pages, so that we can quickly assist you to get access. So remember, just if you want to download the apps, you can do it from here as well. If you create a free account, you won't necessarily have access to all of them, but you can have a trial that you can use for this series as well. You will have access, for instance, with a free account of, say, OneDrive to up to 5 gigabytes. If you're a UNISA student, you will have up to 1 terabyte. And remember, you can download the apps. So if you do use a mobile device mostly, go download the apps from the Play Store or the Apple Store, and just sign in with your free Microsoft account or your My Life email address to complete the next activities. So we're going to give you 3 minutes to just reflect, quickly go get a cup of coffee, or anything that you need to eat perhaps quickly before we dive into the next activity of OneDrive, the introduction to OneDrive. But then we're going to get hands-on and complete the first activity that you need to complete this course. So please take this 3 minutes to get ready, access those two portals, ask in the chat if you have not accessed them yet, so that we can help you. And we'll see you in 3 minutes. So it's 10:47, so we'll make it 10:50. So I won't cheat you like David did and take 60 seconds. Thanks, everyone. Yes, so I see there is a few questions in the chat, so while we just wait to get started. So these are how to use Microsoft 365 apps. So these are the apps that you can use in your studies or assignments, to create assignments, how to join classes, collaborate online. But it's also not just for let's say for your studies. You can do it for your personal activities as well, or if you're in business one day, you will use the same apps. I see that I can access My Life and all, but struggling to navigate between the presenter screen and My Life screen. I have to start all over every time. So if you're struggling to perhaps, follow along what we are doing here in real time, remember all the course steps are going to be on here as well. So when we're going to be doing now the activities, for instance, we will follow the steps that's on here. So very important with this session is if you fall behind, don't worry. All the information is on here. So you can come back to the session. The recording will be available. So if you're struggling now, for instance, to, keep up with what we are doing, go afterwards, just watch what we are doing at the moment. Afterwards, go try it yourself. If you're then still struggling to do it, then next week when we open up the session, we will ask you if there is any areas that you specifically struggled with the previous activities, then we can help you through that. So that's why it's very important that you follow along as we go through this content, that you also have this page open of the course so that you can keep up with what is happening here. Okay, so for this one, we now have completed the activities. So you should have now visited Office, portal.office.com or signed into office.com, created your free account or sign in with your My Life email address. Remember, if you're signing in with your My Life email and you're not seeing all these links, we did share the link as well, where you can go and activate your license. So what we did now in this activity, so we signed in, we used the waffle icon that's the app launcher that's there at the top left. We had a look at what apps are available in the ribbon. We actually looked at also how to personalize your settings. So very importantly, so it's a very few steps, but a very important steps for us to proceed to the next section. So with that, Ingrid, hand back to you for the next section on OneDrive. Thanks, Ingrid.
Thank you, Richard. And I think everybody is asking questions and we're busy in the chat answering you where we can. Please be a bit patient if we don't get to all of the questions. And next, I'd like to hand back to David on how to use OneDrive. Now, I think OneDrive is a really, really important tool for you to use for your studies and for work and for life. It saves my life many a time. David?
All right, thank you guys. Yes, let's get on to OneDrive. It is the savior in terms of computing, at least. All right, so let me just share my screen. We've got a bit of a presentation, and then we're going to get into those steps and activities that Richard was referring to. Okay, so let's get on with OneDrive. Okay, so what we're going to do is for this section now, we're going to see what is OneDrive, what are the benefits, and how do we access the platform. There's two different ways, but we're going to show you both, and we've got activities as well. All right, so have you ever lost your memory stick? In other words, you've got a virus on it, or you've left it in a computer, walked away, and magically that USB just jumped out the window and ran away. I'm sure all of us have experienced this in some form or another. So yes, it is not a very fun thing to go through, and also USBs don't last forever, guys. So even if you look after it, one day you're going to plug it in and it's simply not going to work. So whatever's on there is most likely gone. This is your savior, OneDrive. OneDrive, guys, it's cloud-based USB. So really what it is just having your USB, but the only difference is it's sitting in the cloud. So we're going to look at what is OneDrive, then we're going to show you guys how to access it from the Office waffle. I like that, waffle. What is OneDrive? Okay, so it's cloud storage. So it's your USB, but the only difference is you don't have to worry about where you're putting the USB. It's simply sitting in the cloud. And the nice thing is you can put all your information there, the security, the virus scans, all that stuff is taken care of by Microsoft. So you really don't have to worry at all. You can't upload a virus, by the way. It will block it. So, and the nice thing is you can access it from anywhere at any time. So you don't have to worry about where's my USB anymore. So you can put your personal files, your studies, anything you want really, and you can put it in there. The only weakness is, guys, is your password. So normally I tell students, and this applies to your unisa password as well, please make sure you do not share it with anybody. The reason being, once you share the password, then your access is diminished very quickly. Because let's be honest, today you are dating this guy or girl, tomorrow you break up. Now the person has your password. What are they going to do? They might go and delete your things. They might go into my unisa and delete your modules and submit nonsense and all sorts of weird things. People can do this. So please, rule of thumb, the password stays between you and God, and that's it. Nobody else. Even if you're married, just tell your partner, forget it, you're not getting my password. All right, maybe there you could maybe think about people get divorced, so maybe not. Okay, so keep it between you and God, please. So the nice thing with it is, guys, you can take your USB, copy your information, and then throw it away because you're not going to need a USB anymore. All you do need is the internet. Okay, so it doesn't matter which device you're using. You can use your laptop, your tablet, your phone. As long as you've got Microsoft 365, it integrates with all those technologies or devices, and you can access it from anywhere. And that's the great thing with this. So let's see what the little video is going to tell us.
Need a solution that lets you store all your files in one place, share and collaborate with others, and get to your photos and files from anywhere? OneDrive can help. OneDrive supports more than 270 file types. Create a file on your PC or Mac and edit the same file on your laptop, tablet, or phone. No need to email it to yourself or save a copy to a thumb drive. Easily share files with others, work together, and see comments and changes as they happen. Stay connected wherever you are with the OneDrive mobile app on your Android, iOS, or Windows phone. With all your files in OneDrive, securely store, share, and get to your files from anywhere, at work, at home, or on the go. We'll show you how.
Okay, great. So there's different ways to access your OneDrive. We can do it through your browser, your desktop, or the smartphone. So there are different ways to actually access your OneDrive. Okay, so OneDrive on your browser. So what's going to happen is exactly where Richard was. You go to your app launcher, you click on the little waffle, it'll open up all the different applications, or you might even find it on the side of the screen. And you click on OneDrive and it'll open something like this. Now, don't be scared if you don't see a whole bunch of folders over here, because you might not have created any yet. So yours might just well be empty. I like this folder over here saying money. I think we must be friends with this person. But yes, so you're going to create your files and folders and you're going to put them in your OneDrive. So you access it from portal.office.com. And very importantly, you need to log in your case for unisa students with your MyLife email account. OneDrive on the desktop, okay, it's going to look something like this. Again, what will happen is when you've installed OneDrive, it's part of your Office package, you will see this on the right-hand or left-hand side, sorry, you will see there's a OneDrive and it'll have a name over there. And if you click on it, basically it's going to show you the same information that's sitting over here, but the difference is now you're accessing it through your Explorer, your Windows Explorer, File Explorer. That's the difference, but it's exactly the same information. So this one, you connect it or you access it directly from your computer. The only catch is please make sure that your OneDrive app is actually running. Otherwise, it's not going to do that. Then you have to start it up first. but by default, normally it does. Okay, so those are the two different ways, and we're going to do activities on both of these, so just bear with us. Then you've got the third option, which is your smartphone. All right, so you'll be able to access it. I see there's a very interesting little icon over there. I think some of you guys know this one. But yes, you can also access your OneDrive on your device. Most Windows-based operating systems, even Android, it already has OneDrive there that you just need to log into, and you'll see the interface looks pretty much the same. Again, it's going to show you files and folders that you already have. So if you have none, it'll be pretty much empty. But that's the third option that you can go and explore. And we do trust that you will do that. Now, before we get to some of the practicals, and we're going to do this step by step, how many gigabytes are in a terabyte? So maybe use the chat, post your answer there. How many gigabytes are there in a terabyte? So now we're talking about the size of the data that you can save. So while you guys are typing in the answers over there, for example, let's say you got the latest movie, let's say via Netflix, and it downloads, and the size of the file is 1 gigabyte. Then that's what we're really referring to here. So how many movies then would you be able to put into your OneDrive? Although we do not recommend it because there's copyrights and things like that. Hey, so obviously be very careful what you upload, because copyright will also block you at some point. Okay, so how many gigabytes in 1 terabyte? Are we seeing any answers there, Richard?
See, yeah, quite a few answers. So a lot of them are correct, about 1,000 megabytes.
The correct answer is 1,024 gigabytes.
That's very close.
So if you use Google, it's going to say 1,000, but it does have a little note saying 1,024. So that actually is the correct answer. Yes, so 1,000 gigabytes, but it's actually 1,024, guys, because the power of 2 computers tend to use, in other words, 2, 4, 8, and it just doubles every time. So when it gets to 512, then it's 1,024. Okay, so yes, 1,024. If you got that answer, you're spot on. If you're 1,000, it means you're a few gigs short, but you're very close. All right, so when you share large files, it's actually very easy to do, because you're just going to send a link. And this is something we're going to do quite often, even next Saturday as well. We're going to show you how to share information, not necessarily a large file, but large files you can also do. So let's say you make a few snaps of your family, you go on holiday, and then you want to share it with the other family members. Now, if it's good quality images, they could be quite big. So yes, then we can share it also with large files. So that's also quite cool with your OneDrive. Now, with OneDrive, there are quite a number of benefits. It's available pretty much 99% of the time. Microsoft is available. The services generally do not have any downtime. Occasionally, once in a blue moon, it might, but generally, really, OneDrive is always available. It's accessible, so no matter where in the world you're currently, you can access your OneDrive. Security is taken care for you, but as I said, the only thing is the password of your account. So that one you must seriously not share with anyone. Just saying the security aspect, please be very careful with your MyLife email account. If you receive an email saying the ICT department wants you to click on this link because they need to confirm something, or there's a virus, or they come up with very realistic sounding scenarios. But when you click on that link, it says to you, please enter your email address and your password. Then what you do is you click on the X, you close that window, and you delete that email. Because that's how people get into your accounts, guys. They pretend to be something they're not, and then they want you to type in your password. You never type your password in on a form that you don't know who owns that form, because you're actually giving away your password. The other thing is you can work offline as well. So you can work offline, and then when you've got internet connection, then you can synchronize. And it does it automatically for you if your internet is off, and then it comes on. Then immediately, once your laptop or your desktop or your phone connects, then the synchronization process will happen. Files are on demand, which pretty much means you can access them whenever you need it. They're there, and it also does have version control. So when you're sharing and other colleagues or students are using the same document, it controls who's got what information and when. So the versioning is taken care of as well, which is also quite fun. All right, I'm sure in your, well, if you haven't used the technology yet, you might not have called a colleague or a friend to send you a file or report. I know Outlook is pretty good in terms of how big the files are, but if it says to you, this file is too big, then what happens? Then you can use OneDrive and you can share it that way. Then, of course, there's also that scenario that when you're working in teams or in a unit, there's a document and it requires everyone's input and everybody clicks on file save as and they say final. And then the next person sees, oh, final, but then they say final, final. And then the next person says, okay, I see final, final, but let me add another final. So this one is the most final one. And at some point, you've got like 600 finals in one document. Okay, so how do we work around this? As I said, OneDrive handles the versioning. So you can all use the same document at the same time, but it manages where the information comes in and who adds the information. So it really is a safe way of actually doing the versioning. And we're going to do that also with Microsoft Word. Next weekend, showing you how that actually works, because Microsoft Word is a little bit more what you could use in terms of assignments. So yes, so these are the type of questions that do pop up, and I'm hoping you guys are thinking about these as well. Okay, so the reflection is not a reflection for the minute. We are now going to do some practical elements, but while we're setting up quickly, think about how can I use this to make sure that my studies and my information is accessible anywhere, that it's taken care of, that I don't need to worry about my USB anymore. So really, that's what we're going to talk about. So let me just reshare my screen. Okay, because now I need to show you guys some cool stuff. I know it does take a few seconds. That's why we're giving you that 180 seconds. These are virtual seconds, so it might not be the actual seconds, depending on how quickly it connects. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to still give you some seconds, so while you're thinking. Don't worry, my desktop normally doesn't look this clean. All I did is I told the operating system to please hide all my files and folders on my desktop. Okay, all right. So while you guys are thinking, just remember, very importantly, let me not use that browser. Yes, let me use this browser. Okay, so two things you're going to need to be able to do, apart from using MS Teams. There's actually three things. We're going to work in your portal.office.com. Okay, like Richard showed you, where you've got your waffle. I love this idea of the waffle. It's better than the dashboard icon that we normally say. So where you see all your apps. Okay, so remember, this is where you need to be. Then, of course, we've got the skills site that we've created for you. And of course, now as you work through all the materials, you'll see that we're talking about OneDrive. So if I click on OneDrive, here is a whole bunch of more information. So as Richard was saying, because we know it's a little bit tricky, if you're using your phone and now we're trying to show you something and then you're using MS Teams, let's say on your phone, now you've got to jump between apps. Of course, you're not going to be able to follow everything all the time. It'll be very difficult. So what we do is we've created these sites or these pages for you. And here is OneDrive. So once you click on the Open Learn course, now this you can do in your own time, hey? It basically goes through everything that we links to all the different parts of OneDrive, including the steps itself. So this one you can do from today afterwards when you've got time and work through all these that are part of the Microsoft Learn paths, okay, of Microsoft 365, which is accessible to you. Just remember, you can sign in using your MyLife email account, which we do recommend. So there we go. So don't freak out, don't panic if you are not following us all the time or you're missing some steps in between. All right. Then for the activities, so we're going to have a look at the desktop. All right. Then here we got all the steps again for you, including the links that talk to the step that you're on. So if you want to self-explore as well. And there we go. So again, students, please don't panic if you don't follow all the steps. Just know all the steps are sitting here and we're going to just work through the activity with you. And then please go and do those activities as well. Okay, so just remember, is all sitting here. And day 2 and day 3, of course, now we're doing Saturday, so it's going to be a little bit different here because we've got a lot more to do in one Saturday than over a 5-day week. But here we go. So, but we're doing pretty well so far. So we're going to look at the desktop. Okay, so the first thing is, so it says, welcome to us. We're going to look at
David?
OneDrive. Yes.
Just asked if you can show the steps again.
I haven't started yet.
I think just to access or just to show Microsoft 365, they must access, and then to get to the portal to where you navigated down to the OneDrive section. I'm also sharing the link again to the course. So if you do not have the course open yet, please click on the link in the chat.
Okay, fabulous. So let me do this quickly then. Let me just create a private window. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is, guys, portal.office.com. Okay, it might pick it up as portal like that. It's fine, no worries. Let it search. It's not a problem. But as long as you say Portal Office 365, it will bring up the very first link over here. So that would be step 1. All right, then it's going to say sign in. Okay, so you click on sign in. This is where you type in your email address. In my case, I'm using my staff email address. Of course, then I need to type in my super secure password. Click on sign in. Now, with 2-step verification can be set up now, because with our staff members, we kind of do need to do this little part where it sends a code to my phone to say that I'm logging in. So this is part of security. So it's very important and very useful, because at least now I know if someone tries to log into my account, let's say they guess my email address and my password somehow, then they would still need to be able to access my phone to get the code. Now, don't worry, this code changes, so it doesn't help you if you write it down. Now, this one's interesting. If it is your device, then you can say yes. If it is not your device, rather say no. Okay? Simple rule of thumb. If you're in the computer lab or the library, please do not say yes, because it's going to then remember that you've logged in. So rather just say no. But because this is my computer, I'm going to say yes. And there we go. So this is step 1. We get into Microsoft 365. Because once I click on here, I'm going to see OneDrive and all the other apps. So this is where you find your apps. Please take note. I did see someone was asking about how do I install. There is the install option over here. And you'll see OneDrive for Business is already part of the package. So you can actually go install this on 5 different devices. You get 1 license. Okay, just 1 license, but you can install it on 5 different devices. So mom and dad, yes, you can go install it on their computer, but just remember, OneDrive, for example, is going to be shared wherever those 5 devices are. So just remember that. But yes, there you can install it as well. Okay, so once you've got this little guy open, excellent. Then the next step is, all right, where do I get the steps? Now I go to adovh.unisa.ac.za. This one is working. Then I click on the right-hand side. Yes, you might see all this popping up, but just ignore it for now. Just say log in. It asks a question. You say yes or no, but in my case, yes, we are part of Unisa. And then it says, okay, please remember log in with your MyLife or your personal email. That's if you're not a Unisa student. That's what I'm meaning by personal email, okay? For students, MyLife only, end of story. Then I go to my courses. All right, and there it is. But in your case, it might need to go to home and then go click on this one over here, if it's your first time. All right, then it's going to take me in because I've already joined it, and hence it's going to remember where I am. And there we go, guys. There's all the information that we've worked through already this morning. Like working with computers, all the videos, there they are. And there's OneDrive that I was referring to. So hopefully now that gets us up and running, guys. So can you see now you've got basically 2 things that you must do. Get into Office 365 and then make sure you're on the head of site to have all the instructions there. Yes, I know we're doing it virtually, which means you also need to have MS Teams running. But just remember, this is where the steps are, so you won't lose track where you're at. Okay, the first one is your desktop. Okay, so what you do here is click on Start, scroll down, and you look for OneDrive. Now, this is obviously after you installed the program, okay? So we've accepted, you clicked on Install, you installed it, you followed that process. Click on OneDrive, and there we go. Now, as you guys can see, David has like 10 billion folders over here and a few files at the bottom over there. So I can really see that I've got a lot of things on my OneDrive. Okay, with the university, we kind of have to use it. We don't have a choice. So, but there you can see OneDrive with the university, and this is how it looks. Don't worry about this one. This one you don't have access to. So, but this is the one. Okay, so then great. Now I've accessed OneDrive, and let's see what does it say we need to do.
Sorry, David. Will you just
Yes.
show how to sign into your OneDrive on your PC?
Of course, yes. I think I'm already in. Should I quickly sign out?
No, I don't think you need to sign it. I think just search for OneDrive from the Windows button, and then that's just where everybody can sign in. So everybody, please, on you if you're using Windows, OneDrive should already be installed if you're using Windows 10 or 11. So you can just search for the OneDrive app. Make sure that you log in with the account that you created, or My Life account. And then also if you're using, for instance, a Mac OS, you can download the OneDrive app for Mac OS as well. So just please make sure that you follow those steps just to make sure that you are signed in.
Okay, you mean this little guy?
Yep, that was.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Sorry, yes. Thanks, Richard. Just as a reminder. So just to show you guys, in the very first step, once it's installed, when you need to log in the very first time, now, of course, I'm already in, so it's a little bit different. Let me just open this link for you. So what's going to happen is you're going to download, you're going to install. Okay, they've given you the steps. They also give you this little video that you can run through. What will happen then is you click on Start, you click on OneDrive, pretty much what I did. But now the difference is going to be, it's going to say to you for the very first time, please set up your OneDrive. So then you're going to have to enter your My Life email account, and then you're going to click on Create Account. Then it's going to say to you, okay, now we're going to want to synchronize. So this is really where you're going to need to have data, to be honest. If there's lots of folders that you're going to want to synchronize to, this can take quite some time and quite some data. So you might want to consider which options you really want to upload or not upload. You'll see, yep, there we go. All your files are ready on demand. So then you can basically indicate what do you want to prefer to do. Do you want to select it yourself or not? And then they give you 3 options. So you must just be careful about these options, especially if you've got a lot of files and folders already, because it might want to do them all. And as I go down, then you can actually choose your folders. So they do say you go to Settings, Account, and choose folders as well. All right, and there we go. And then you're going to see these little icons are popping up over here. So yes, just have a look at your setup and your steps, and within the account, choose folders. Let me see if I can quickly open that. Okay, it looks a little bit different. You would be able then to see pretty much the settings there, and you can see how much drive space you need and how much it's currently using as well. So you can also unlink your PC. Let's say you're not going to use, let's say, this laptop anymore. You're getting a new one. Then you click on this button to unlink it. It means it's not going to synchronize anymore. This is also where you can go choose your folders. So yes, we do have these basic setup steps for you that you're going to need to work through. But yeah, it's a little bit different to this one. But as you see, once it's installed, there it is. Remember the right click I was speaking about? you right click on it, and then you can go to settings, settings again, and then you can see this window here. So in the beginning, it are a few little steps that you need to follow. Right, so yes, sorry about that. Of course, mine is already in. I'm just going directly there. Right, are you guys getting this correct? Have you managed to set up your OneDrive? What are the students saying, Richard?
David is very fast.
Okay, remember guys, remember what I'm saying, hey? I am a bit too fast, yes, I know. But just remember those steps that I was just showing you, where are we finding them? On the Adobe site, and there is the link over there. So that would be under step 1. All right, so ensure OneDrive is installed. You see that's also linked. Okay, so here we go, it tells you there's the learning path. So don't forget this, guys. It's very important. You have to remember that the steps are right over here. Okay, but do the students have OneDrive open now? Have they managed to get it?
No, they're still busy opening. So I just want to remind also the ones that's using on your mobile phone, you can use the OneDrive app to do this activity as well. So you don't necessarily, if you have to use the desktop, you can use your OneDrive on your mobile phone, the app, or if you are struggling to get OneDrive activated on your PC, you can also do this in online version where we create a folder for this section. So please, yeah, if you don't have to use the desktop, you can also use the app or even the online version of OneDrive.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks, Richard. All right, guys. Yes, I see some guys are open. They've managed to get it going. And sorry if I'm a little bit fast, but just remember, rule number 1, log into Office. Rule number 2, make sure you're on the Adobe site where the steps and all the supporting steps are there. Okay. And yes, we will share the recording with you as well, so you can work through it at your own time. A little bit easier than jumping between teams and everything else. Okay, so now we've installed OneDrive. You've set it up. You told it what to sync, what not to sync. Just take note of the data that it might want to use. Now we access the OneDrive on our desktop, and I did show you that. So you just simply click on your File Explorer, Windows button at least, and then you go to OneDrive. Okay, so if you open it up, there we go. Right, so now I can see all these files and folders are in in the cloud on my OneDrive, but I'm accessing it through my File Explorer. So that's important. That's why we showed you in the beginning just the basics, and File Explorer was one of them. Right, so let's go see what we need to do. So we've done step 1. We've accessed OneDrive now, step 2. And again, there is useful information that you can refer to just to add some value what you're doing. Now we're going to create a new folder. Okay, and we're going to call it the OneDrive activity. Now, of course, IT people, we like to do the quickest, simplest way of doing something, so I'm just going to quickly copy that text. Now I'm going to go back to my File Explorer. Now you can see I've got so many open, hey? So let me rather close the ones and just have one. It just makes it easier. If you just have one open, just like we showed you, right-click, sort of in the blank area, you can say New Folder. Lots of ways to do the same thing, so whichever way you prefer, go for it. Then I'm going to add in desktop, just to show you guys this is the example that we're doing now through the desktop. And I hit enter. So there I've created my folder. Let me scroll down a little bit. Now I've created my folder. Now you'll notice there's a little, and it disappears so quickly. All right, hopefully you saw that. There was a little turnaround symbol indicating that I'm going to still synchronize. Now, once I see the green tick, that means I've synchronized. Then if you see a cloud like this one, that means it's only in the cloud. So you'll have to download it if you want to access this one. And I don't want to click it because the recordings to me sounds like 28.7 gig. Okay, that's a lot of data. I definitely don't want to click on that now, not with training happening. See, support videos is also quite big, only 700 meg. Okay, so those are the 3 different little icons that you see. So let's just go back to our course material quickly and check. So there's the green tick. There's the little arrow chap that I was referring to. So once you create something, it's going to do this. It's saying I'm going to synchronize, and then I've completed synchronization. Done. Then there's the cloud. Okay, so your green tick says the file is available on your computer as well as on the cloud. Spinning icon, oh, they call it the spinning icon. Okay, great. Means it's synchronizing. So what's on your computer will now be on OneDrive. Cloud indicates is online and will download when you open. That's why I didn't want to click on those other folders, because I know there's videos in there and it's going to take until Christmas to probably download them all. So hence, I only avoided the cloud for this minute. But it's important to know these little icons as well. Right. Once you've created a folder, then you can click on the share button. Now, this is part of the activity, and we're going to be doing this quite often with sharing. So let's go have a look. So right click, again, right clicking here. This is on the Windows or your desktop. Share. Give it a few seconds. Because what's happening now is it's busy checking to see who I am. What permissions do I have in terms of the setup of the computer and OneDrive, and who can access my information. So there we go. So this you're going to find whenever you share things in the cloud with Microsoft products, you'll always see this little guy, and it's always going to look pretty much the same. So here's a couple of things that you need to know. I'm just going to use this little option for today. We are still going to do these options next week. So don't worry, we're not skipping anything. It's going to be there. So here I could easily just type in the email address. Okay, then I can put in my colleague Richard there, and I can then send it to me. You'll get an email saying this has now been shared with him. Okay, so that's how that would work. But the copy link is pretty much what we want to do. Now, the first little thing you'll see here, it says, okay, anyone with the link can view the contents of my folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, let's see, what options do we have? I click on it and it says, these are the options that you can do. Now, all these options we're not going to cover today. You can go fiddle with them, but it's good to know this option over here to say, can they edit your files and folders, or can they simply just view what's inside of there? So that's something you need to decide. I'm going to say edit, it's fine. It even expires. You can say by this date, it can actually expire. And I can even set a password if I really want to make sure of the security aspect. These are the different options up here that you can then choose who do you want to access. And again, this is, as I said, we're going to do this with the other programs as well. People with existing access, that means you've shared it before. People that you want to choose. For example, I can just put in Richard's details again. Then I can only share it with him, and he's the only one going to have access. But what access am I giving him? He can actually edit. I see there's a new option about blocking downloads. I see mine's not activated yet. It's probably because I have nothing inside of it. So there's nothing to download, to be honest. It's empty. So these are basically the options that we can go through. But for what we wanted to do is really, because we're just creating something simple, is this over here. So copy. But let me do that again. So we go to your folder, you right click on it. You'll see there's an option. There's a copy link option there, but we're just going to say share option for now. Once it opens, select, in this case, I'm just going to follow the steps. I'm going to say copy the link. Okay, and then you're going to have to click copy again. Anyone with the link wouldn't be able to view. So there I've done the copy part. Now let's go back to our activity. Activity says copy the button. We'll click on the copy button, then copy the link and paste it in the discussion below. So what we would have seen is other students have already done this, and you can actually see, well, that's incorrect, but you can see basically they have copied the link that they got from their OneDrive, which means you could then access it using the link. But how do we do that? Just remember, click on the very first reply that you see where you actually see the steps. That's very important. Don't go click on someone else's reply because then you're replying to them only. So yeah, so just remember that. So click on reply right up here. And we really want to see by next week that you guys have done this task. Okay, so there it is. And then you can say post to forum. All right, so if you scroll, there we go. Now how the forum works is when you click on reply, your answer is going to be at the bottom. So you have to then go all the way down. You can see what I'm doing. Wow, this thing is so busy. Right down to the bottom. And then you can see me and my beautiful egghead. And there we go. So there we go. So now you can check. Oh, did I post? There it goes. Now this also applies to your assignments, guys. So if it's your first time at UNISA and you're doing something that they require you to post something, the steps I've just showed you, it's pretty much the same. So just take note of that. Okay, so there we go. You can see that I've posted my link there. Right, so that is your first activity. And of course, we do give you some more information that you can go and explore. So it's a very simple little activity, and I hope you guys are actually submitting. Well, Richard, I think what I can do is I can scroll down here and let me have a look. 11th of March, yes, there we go. I do see some students are doing it. Not sure if your time is correct. Maybe you might need to check your settings there, hey? You're really early, or maybe depends where in the world you might be. Another very interesting one. Okay, so I see quite a few things have been posted already. This one, you were very quick. You did it before me. But there we go. So we can actually see that you're doing activities. Please do the activity because it does show us that you do understand these, the first steps that we've done. Right, so that's activity number 1. So just remember, guys, just make sure you're logged into Office 365 and make sure you're on the add-off site. The next thing we're going to do is the next activity is the second option, which is the OneDrive Online. So you also see I'm selecting the second activity, going to scroll down a little bit. All right, and there we go. So what happens here? Again, they give us the steps. They say go to portal.office.com. Okay, yes, I'm ready there. There I am. Let's go back. App Launcher. Where's my App Launcher? The Waffle. There's Mr. Waffle. Great. Right, what's next? Click on the OneDrive. Okay, so now I must just look for my OneDrive app. All right, and I go back. So you see, students, if you do it this way, it's much easier than to follow, but this is generally for self-paced. Click on it, it's going to open. Now notice OneDrive is opened on its own tab. Your Office is still over there. So just take note of that as well. Now remember I said to you, we have synchronized that folder from the first activity. So now I should see it over here because now I'm in the OneDrive, but the only difference is I'm online, I'm in the cloud, but there it is. There's my folder. Great, so let's see, what's the activity we're going to do now? It says we're going to create OneDrive activity again, so we're going to create another folder. But this time, I want to create it, and I'm going to click on New. So when I click on New, it says, what do we want to do? Folder, or do I want any of these programs? In this case, we want to first create a folder. Okay, then it's going to say, okay, please give it a name. I'm just going to add the word online so we know we're doing activity number 2. Then I click on create. And there she is. Great. So now I can see I've created my folder. Now I go back to my activity and they say, okay, once you've created the folder, maybe add something else inside that folder, like a Word document. Okay, how do we do that? Go back to my OneDrive. There's my folder. I click on it. Can you see now it tells me under my files, that's your root, that's your beginning point. You have a folder and currently there's nothing inside your folder, it's empty. Okay, just to show you, if you go to, let me just go to my desktop maybe. Very similar. With your File Explorer, it says you're on this computer. This is the drive that you're on, if you've got more than one drive. This is the folder, and this is what's inside the folder. So it's the same way of looking at it, just a different place that you're looking at the information, just for interest's sake. Okay. So there we go. So I'm on my files in the cloud, in OneDrive, in my folder called OneDrive Activity Online. And now I'm currently got nothing, so it's empty. So let's say new Word document. Now what's going to happen is, apart that my kids are trying to kill each other, the Word document will open. So I'm not going to really do anything. Automatically it saves. Next week we tackle this one. I just wanted to create something, so I'm going to close it. But there you'll see the document now has been created. You'll notice that there's a funny little star sort of symbol here. I hope you guys can see it. Maybe I should just zoom into it. I'll get my magnifying glass quickly. A little bit small. Right there, you can just see it over there. So that indicates in the cloud that this is something new that you've created a few seconds ago. Okay, so if you ever wonder now, how do I know if I've just created something? That's a little bit of a clue. Or someone else has created something in your folder, then that's the way to do it. Sorry, this zoom function is quite freaky. So it makes everything huge. Okay, so there we go. So now I've created a file inside my OneDrive folder. Okay, so let's go see our activity now. Right, then we say again, we do share again, and we say please share as what we did before. So people using the link. So again, all right, so I'm going to need to share now. Okay, let's see. Do I have a right click available to me? Let's go back one step, back to my files. There is online. There's the share button. Now let me right click on it. There's also the share button. There's also the share button. So always remember, there's always a lot of ways to do the same thing. It's up to you to decide which is the easiest route. Okay, so I select it. I can go in. All right, click on my files. Click on the little selector if you want, or you can simply click on the button. So it's totally up to you. Click on share. And again, the same window comes up again. Same like we did 2 minutes ago, same one. So I'm going to click on copy, and I remember I need to click on copy again. All right, there we go. The fun of working on Saturdays for those who are parents. All right, so then I've copied it. What do I need to do? I go back to OneDrive. And what did we do previously? The very first post where we see the instruction, we click on reply, paste in our link, and then I click on post to forum. And where will yours be? Right at the tail. So you got to go all the way to the end to see what's going on. And let's have a look. Yay, good. See, some students are doing the activity. Well done, guys. Excellent. All right, fantastic. I see quite a few students. But please do these exercises. They're very, very important. Now, before you say, David, you were too fast, just remember what I've been saying. Get onto the ADOF site, go to the activity, and follow the steps. But also explore a bit. Go and read a little bit more, because it'll definitely help you with your studies. All right, so that pretty much covers it. But now let's quickly go back to my folder. Let me go back to my OneDrive. Let me go look for it. Where is my new one that I created in the cloud? There it is, online. You see, there it is. On my desktop, I can access it. Double click. There's the Word document. And you can see it's synchronized. That means what's on here is in the cloud. And I'm accessing it this way. So guys, you've got two choices. You can either go through the desktop route or the online route, but pretty much it's going to do the same thing for you. It all depends where you prefer to work. And that's the gist of it. All right, Richard, so I think there we've nailed the OneDrive. So guys, I will be checking that you've done these exercises. So yes, the reply must be in the top right or bottom right-hand corner of the very first post. Okay, so it should definitely be there. All right, but now I can hand back to you, Ingrid.
Hello, David, and thank you so much for that. Students, OneDrive will save your life because you will have all of your documents saved in a central place. So if something happens, you forgot your computer at home, it gets stolen, you can still access your documents in other places. You can have it on your phone, on the desktop, and you can log in online anywhere in the world at the same time. So next up is Richard with the activity on OneNote. Richard, take it away.
Thank you, Ingrid. Okay, sharing, yeah. Just a note for you. I saw there was a couple asking they don't see the reply button. So remember, if you're not seeing the reply button, you'll need to sign in. So make sure your credentials are showing at the top right. So if you're not seeing any replies buttons, just click on this icon at the top to sign in to your account. Okay, so we're going to be now on day one. We're going to get started with OneNote. So we're going to be just a quick introduction to OneNote, and then we're going to do a activity on OneNote as well. And with that activity, then we will close the day for today. So I'm just going to start the presentation. Okay, so if I can just perhaps see in the chat, if you could just indicate, have any of you ever used OneNote? Don't see a lot of responses. Don't worry if you're left behind. The links will be shared, the recordings will. So if you want to go back for that section on OneDrive, you can definitely catch up from there. Okay, so let's just quickly go through what we will learn today. So you're going to learn what is OneNote, when you might want to use OneNote, how to create a OneNote folder, for instance, for your studies or for your work purposes, and then how to add sections and text to the OneNotes. So OneNote is really, you must think of it as like a central space where you can save information. So you can also collaborate on these documents, but everything is basically in one, how can I say, folder that you create. So you must really think of it almost like a book that's got different titles. So under different titles, you put different information, and this can be text, it can be images, it can be tables, a lot of different things. So you must really think of it as this binder that contains all of the information that you can centrally access. And as always, the app is also available on all devices. So if you make a note, for instance, in on your desktop, it will sync up to the cloud, so you can access it from the cloud, and then you can also access it from your mobile device. So it's really a place where you can store all the information into a central space. So there is different types of notebooks. So for instance, sometimes your lecturer might create a class notebook for everybody to go work on, but we will be focusing more on the ones that you will create for yourself, for your individual work. How you can track, for instance, all the information that you're perhaps looking for, that you can store all of this into a central space. But just note there is a few different types of notebooks, but we will be focusing on the personal notebook. So OneNote really gives you versatility. You know, you might now think, why can't I just use a Word document? But the benefit of it is it creates a easy to navigate sections that you can access information of a wide range of topics very easily. And you can draw in it, you can handwrite it, you can link websites in it, you know, add images, embed audio, video files. And as always, as we mentioned, you can share this with somebody else. So maybe you're working in a group on a specific research topic or assignment, then you can actually use that to collaborate on to create your assignments. And as we mentioned, you can access it at any time, anywhere. So it is a free app, so you can download it from the Microsoft Store. So if you've got Windows, generally it's 10 or 11, it's already installed. But you can also then use it on the in the cloud, as we mentioned, on the portal, or you can download the app on your mobile device. So as you can see here, the interface is very easy. You create different notebooks. That's on the right-hand side, the left-hand side. And then each of these workbooks has sections. So for instance, you'll have different sections for, you can almost say it's the chapters in a book. and then all the chapters will have pages. So you create different pages. So it's really a place to organize all your notes into one place. So we will be actually looking today at how to create it for perhaps your modules, for your UNISA studies, for instance. But you can use any examples that you would like in the activity that we're going to do. So as we mentioned, you can actually add quizzes, checkboxes, all these different things to help you organize. And we will have a look at, for instance, checkboxes. Say you've got assignments that you're going to list out to check off what has been done, what do you need to do next. So it really helps you to organize these different tools. I must also mention here, if you ever use, for instance, the Notes app on Android or iOS, it works very much the same. So it's almost, you can use it as a reminder and a notes tool in one. So as we also want to mention, it's very easy to, if you learn OneNote, for instance, online version, if you go to the app, for instance, the interface is very much the same, the navigation. So you basically can just learn, we're going to do the online one, but it will work exactly the same if you're using the desktop version or the app, for instance. So I think we're not going to do OneNote for PC, the installation. So OneNote usually is already installed on Windows devices, so you can just simply search for it. We're going to be looking at the online version. Remember, if you're using Mac, you download the app as well. So you will need to, if you're using a Mac, download the app. I see there is a few Mac users in our section today. Yeah, so let's get started quickly with the activity. So the activity, I'm going to link it in the chat now as well. So please make sure that you've got ADOBH open, the site. So we're going to be working on this OneNote, and this will, while we create this, we'll also give you a good introduction of what it is, when you might want to use it. I'm just pasting the link there, create a OneNote. So for this activity, you should then have this page open already, the OneNote activity, and you should also be signed in. So before I go on this one, I just want to show you quickly a real world example of how a notebook can be used. So for instance, you can see, for instance, this one on my OneNotes, there's quite a few that I've created already. So for instance, there might be ones for specific tasks that I want to do. Say I want to remember, how to command functions, or say there's sections, for instance, all these things that you have to take down to, that you have to remember. For instance, say not necessarily your passwords, but sometimes you have information that you need, the login information, the ways of doing certain activities, say it's links to different resources, and you usually write it down and then it gets lost. Well, if you write it down on the online version, it's always available. So that's really an advantage, especially if you take notes in a class. You can write it down in the notebook and you know exactly where it is. So for this one, I still want you then now to be on the page. So we're going to be doing this activity OneNote. And I also want you to have your portal open, the Microsoft 365 portal. So on this portal, if the app is not displaying here on the left-hand side, you need to click on the waffle, the app launcher, and then select OneNote. So you just click on the waffle at the top, OneNote. So if we go to the activity, create the OneNote. So what we will be creating is one specifically, say, for your modules. So if we scroll down, so you should have opened the portal already. You should have signed in already, and then clicked on the app launcher and clicked on OneNote. So now you most likely won't have any notebooks yet. So we're going to create a new notebook. So if I click here, for instance, new notebook, I can give it a name. Say my the UNISA studies. So you select UNISA studies. That will generate for you your notebook. So remember how you must think about it. Like a notebook is like a book, for instance. So say it's a book on animals. So it will have different chapters of different animals. So you must think of it also like one notebook you can create for your UNISA studies, and it will have chapters for all your modules, for instance. So for even when you do work one, for instance, you'll have one, say, for your work, and then you'll have all the sections that contains your workplace, or you might even have a personal one where you have different sections for perhaps different tasks that you need to do or notes that you want to take. So all you need to do now was just created a notebook. So you should just have opened OneNote, created a new notebook, and then also just typed in a name for it. So I'm just called mine UNISA Studies, but you can call yours anything that you like. So now that we've got this page open, so you'll see it's empty. There's no pages, there's no sections. So we'll need to first create a section. So remember, this is now almost a chapter in our book that we are creating now. So at the bottom, you should be able to see this add section. So you see there's two different areas. There's an add section and an add page. So this is the book, and now we're going to add a chapter in our book. So we add a section, and say mine is EUP 1501. That's my module name. So this is now the name of the chapter for this, basically for that's in this book. So you can call yours anything, any topic that you might want to do. So I'm just going to press OK. You'll notice now we've got this book over here, UNISA Studies. Underneath that, we've got EUP 1501. So now you can see I've got can now add pages to this specific topic. So maybe one that I want to add here, for instance, would be, let's say here, the assignment dates, for instance. I can just type in there. So it created for me a blank page. I typed at the top just the name for my page. And now I can start adding content here. So if you go to insert, you'll notice there's quite a few things. You can record audio, pictures, upload a file, a table, all of that you can place in here. So especially when you're doing research and you're going through various websites and you're going to forget all the URLs, you just call it, say, assignment 1, for instance, and you just paste the URLs so that you can quickly access it. So for this one, what we're going to do, if we follow the steps that's on here, so we created the UNISA module or a new notebook. We added a section. And now we can add, for instance, a name for that section. So this one, they just use COS 1512, but you can name your section anything. And now we're going to, for instance, in this section, add a page. So there was a page, we renamed it. So assignment due dates. And then we're going to just use the tag as an example of types of things that you can add. So if you have a look here, for instance, if you go home, and you'll see there's one tags. So let's just zoom in on this one. Let me just go back this way. So tags. So you see there's a to-do tag, for instance. So I can just click on that one. And it added a tag for me here. So I can say, for instance, assignment 01, and say that is the 24th of March, 2023. And then I can perhaps add another tag here by just pressing enter. Assignment 02. And then I can say, for instance, say that is 06 April 2023. Now, the nice thing about this is then, if I zoom out here, so I can always then, I'm done with that. So I can tick off what I have already done. So if you've got a lot of tasks to do that needs to be done in order, you can keep track what you have done, what you need to do, and you can actually make it interactive, such as this, where you actually add a file. Now, say I want to now also add a file in here. So I can just say insert, say a file, say that is the, how can I say a file, the assignment document, for instance. So if I go, for instance, let me do a real one. Let's go here for search for a file. So for instance, say I want to upload my tutorial letter for this module. I can just open up that one. It will upload the file for me into this. So you can really see, so you can go download your tutorial letters, all of that for a specific module, keep it all in one space, especially like the additional resources, all of that, and you can make notes next to it and, really make it very interactive. So I can, for instance, also add a page. So I'll call this one tutorial letter. So I'm just going to show you, for instance, in this one, if I go file, for instance, I said insert file printouts. So I take the second tutorial letter. You will notice it actually adds it as a complete page on here. So just remember there's two ways you can actually do files. You can actually insert the whole document. So it's very easy then to read in here. So I know, okay, here's my assignment dates. There's assignments on tutorial letter here. There's another tutorial letter that I've put in the printout. So I can quickly scan through here, any information that's contained in here. So very important, as we mentioned as well, say I want to remember where this activity is. I can just copy it in here and just paste it in here as well. So it will give me a link to that specific page. And it's what's nice sometimes about it as well. Say I copy an image from here over. It's very easy just to copy and paste information from various websites, and it will actually display it on here as well. So it's you can be creative as you want, how you want to structure everything. And as we mentioned, now if I open up the OneNote on my computer, it will sync up. If I've got the OneNote app on my phone, it will sync up. So I go to a lab PC, I sign in with my Microsoft 365 account. I can easily open my One Notebook again from there, and I've got access to all my information. Okay, so remember for this activity, so all you need to do is create the activity. I showed you now how to do files, but you can really explore with different ways. So go have a look at all the different things that you can perhaps do. Perhaps insert a table on the page, add a checklist, insert a link to assignment brief or rubric for easy reference. Add some notes perhaps that you want to remember. And then finally, for this activity, we're just going to show you how to share it. So once you're done, all you need to do is click on the share button over here. So I can either share the entire notebook or just this copy link to notebook. So I will just, for instance, for this one, copy link to notebook. So say I'm working in a group. So as always, I can give it editing access. If I click here, for instance, I can change who has permissions to edit it. But remember, this is now a link that we're going to share on a public space, so we don't want them to edit. So the default one of anyone with the link can view, we just leave it like that. And I just copy this link from here. So remember, here I must make sure I'm signed in at the top, and then I can come down here and reply and just paste the link in here. Oh, wait, yeah, enroll me. There we go. So now I can just come here to the bottom. Where is the reply now? We zoom out a bit. Yeah, there we go. So just reply to the top one so that it's easy for us to also see when you posted it. You just reply to the first one and you just paste in the URL to your file, and then you just say post to forum. And that's all you need to do. So I'm just going to quickly just show you. Then once it's loaded, as David mentioned, will be right at the bottom, or you can sort this to say newest first, and we'll show everybody that has posted the last one. I'll just scroll down here. So I can see, for instance, Lizelle's already posted, Kyle, good, Laratu, nice, first day. That's the one I posted. Paulina, I see some of you are very fast, you're working ahead, that's good. So remember, for all the others as well, the steps are available here. So if you fall behind, the recording is going to be made available under the recording section. We will upload it just after we finish here today. And then we can make sure that everybody